Hello everybody, and a very warm welcome to another live stream with me, 320 Sim Pilot. And today, as you can see, we are going to take an A300 from here in London Stansted over to Gdansk in Poland. This is going to be a bit of an interesting one. I have had a bit of a practice with the A300, but I would like to have got a bit more practice in, and sadly failed to manage that. So we shall see how we go. We're going to do it properly straight away. Cold and dark aircraft, no messing around. Let's see if we can get it done. We are here in Stansted at the cargo terminal, stand 5. I thought about doing it in daylight. I know we've had a few flights where I've fiddled with the time lately, and then I thought, well, cargo, these guys would almost certainly be flying around in the middle of the night, so I figured that would be the most suitable way to do it. So we'll keep it dark. And I think they've done a really good job on this model. So the lighting and the interior lighting and the reflections and everything are all really nice. So I think it'll be quite good for that. So just jumping into the chat to say hello. Thanks for joining us all. DG27, I'm glad you enjoyed the lights video. I wasn't sure how well received that would be. But yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Stephen, good to see you. Stephen, very active on the Discord, helping out there. Matthew Dragon, good morning. I wonder where Matthew is in the world. Plane, Swappy S, good to see you, Swappy. Hope you're doing well. Too many names as always. Secret Inspector Gadget. It is a lovely evening, lovely clear skies, and there's clear skies here in Stansted for our flight. You can see the stars actually. I don't know how well that shows up in a stream, but they are up there whilst they load our cargo of whatever we're carrying around into it. Dougal McTavish, thanks for coming along once again, streaming over your dinner time. So I look forward to receiving some of whatever dinner you are preparing. I hope it's warm, seeing as it's so freezing cold out in the UK today. But good to see you. Thanks for coming along. Orlando Aviator, hope you're doing well. Michael Sakula, good to see you again. And Kicked My Cat, who has the upside down username. Chickpoint made it in time. Excellent. Great. So many names. I'm really sorry, guys, if I don't get around to saying hello to everyone. Tango Delta, good to see you again. Turtle Kayak, hope you're doing well. General Error, great username that. General Error. Brian's been really itching to buy the plane, hoping in the stream will help you make the decision. Yeah, it's amazing, but you may see a substandard performance from myself as I struggle through it. It's actually harder. I found it harder to learn than the 757, but I haven't spent as much time on it yet. Andy H1302, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Another very active Discord user, of course. Podcaster, first stream you're catching. Hope you enjoy it. The flight's quite long. It's about 1 hour 50 minutes, so we're in for a bit of a long one tonight, guys. So I hope that's all right. But obviously, you can jump in and out as you see fit. Alan, sorry, good to see you, Alan. Of course, on the Discord as well. Reservation before lockdown tomorrow. Yeah, of course. Well, I hope you enjoy it. Enjoy the dinner out. Yeah, we'll have at least a month in the UK. It seems of not being able to wander out and about like we once could. But hopefully, things get back better before Christmas. Evening, back from Crete and back on photos, says Ollie. Looking forward to seeing A300. Yeah, it's something quite different. And Dave sees them around. Yeah, so this is still flying. Unlike a lot of my retro flights I've done in various older airliners, which we do enjoy on this channel as much as we can. This thing you'll still see. It's flown under the call sign Eurotrans by DHL. Leipzig, it's their German branch, and we've got the German registration. This one was sponsored obviously by James Bond, so I thought we'd have this livery for a bit of fun. I would love to fly the passenger ones in their retro liveries, in particular the original Airbus test livery, which is how I started on this channel with the 321 by Toliss, and I was using the default Airbus test livery because I do like those old liveries. So yes, thank you very much for your contribution of 100 rupees. That's very kind of you. I'm glad you're looking forward to it. I think Swappy was asking actually on the Discord about this, but yeah, it's greatly appreciated, the donations. And in fact, the donations that we've had over the time, no one needs to donate, of course, but it's always appreciated. And it's certainly helped mean that we can get things like this on the channel a little more easily than we otherwise could. So that's great. So thank you very much, Swappy, for coming along as always. And thank you to everyone coming along to watch. Already up to 117. John Knowles, I'm glad you enjoy the channel. Thanks for coming along. Right. Okay. I'm just talking to you to avoid actually having to step in the flight deck and deal with the the monster within. This is completely cold and dark and powered down. The only thing I've done is I've loaded the fuel, I've loaded the cargo, and we're going to get ourselves underway. So my plan now is to sort of get through the setup, then get ourselves underway, and then jump into the chat. So it may be difficult to answer your questions before that, because obviously this is going to be a little bit more consuming and time consuming than normal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to load up. I have a checklist here, but I won't show it to you guys. I'm just going to talk through it as we go because it would be too much on the screen. So we're going to do our preliminary cockpit prep, which is actually luckily fairly similar to how it was. Now I have a slight issue in that I can't see a single thing in here. So that is something I did not prepare for when I thought about this. So how am I going to get around that? I know I need to get up to the batteries and turn those on, which are hidden away. I think they're here. Oh, that was potentially quite lucky. So the batteries are on, hydraulic switches should be off, wiper switches off, gear lever down, flap lever in agreement with the flap switch, which is up here and at 0, which is the same in the new Airbuses. Actually, you have to check that they're in agreement. Reverse levers are down and stowed. Fuel levers are off, which are these here. We've got these old school style fuel levers like a Boeing. Weather radar is off. And once we get underway, guys, we will talk a lot more about the aircraft and its heritage. You know me, I'll always have some Wikipedia facts that you didn't ask for ready to go. External power, if available, establish. Well, luckily we have that, so let's get that on. Alan Story, very kind of you for £5 donation. Have a safe flight. See you on Friday. Keep safe at work. Well, you keep safe at your dinner, and hope you enjoy it. And thank you very much for your contribution, for helping the channel out, Alan, and for being an active member. It's always great to see so much of the community coming together with these things. But thank you very much, Alan. Right, slats, flaps, reverse levers, fuel levers, weather radar, external power, APU fire system test. Right, let's get some lights on. Now, I did find the light switch by some miracle. This one, here we go. Excellent. Now we're getting somewhere. And let's put the dome light on, and let's have it on bright. Finally. So I think this will make our lives a lot easier. Look at this flight deck. There's your first sort of glance to those of you who don't have this. You can actually click this switch to get rid of the yoke. Now, I'm an Airbus pilot, so I don't want that there, but I promise we'll put it on eventually. Right, so what are we looking at? Well, it's similar to an Airbus. They've got some bits that translate across. These screens are very similar to the standard Airbus modern-day screens. This was one of the more modern of the original Airbuses. So the A300 was, of course, their first aircraft. But the A310 that came out introduced the glass cockpit, which they added to the A300 600 variant, which is what we have today. And this was actually made up until 2002. So they were still delivering this aircraft back when they were also delivering A320s and A319s. So there you go. It's not quite as outdated as it might at first look. I'll get myself into all sorts of trouble when I start saying things like that. Right, weather radar, external power, APU fire system test. Now, this is one of the things I've noticed is quite different. The testing of the APU fire systems is far more complex than it is in the new aircraft. We just have one button, press and hold, check it all works. This one, you've got to check one for the squibs, check another for the actual loops, hold it down, wait for this and that, and dings here and there. But it's all simulated. Let me know how the audio is as well, whether it's working out properly. If you guys at home, see it go, then that goes out. Now, the manual that they provide is really good, the iniBuilds manual, iniSimulations manual. The only issue I have with it is it doesn't show you where some of these things are, so you will need to go onto YouTube to sort of find certain things. I basically managed to find them just by looking around, because we can start to see, you know, there is some sense to this. We've got a fuel panel here, we've got an electrical power panel. But again, I won't talk about this too much. We'll talk about it when we're underway. Some of the things I recognize that they've taken across into the new aircraft. APU, we can start. So this is a lot more complicated. The new one's only 2 switches, but we might get 4 here. We're going to put the master switch on, gives it power, and the fuel pump gets low pressure. There we go. And then we're going to press start. And it will appear on this little screen down here. And we should see eventually, there we go, N1 starting to increase, and the EGT is increasing, so it's lighting up, and you get the XL light on here. So that's good. IRS mode selectors nav. Now you can change this in the menu. I've made it so that it does it instantly. So you won't actually see the align, but it will go BAT and then it will go align mode. But these ones should, I'm praying, instantly align. I've had a few issues with bugs on this thing, so it's taken me a bit of... I'm a little bit concerned, basically, about some of the things. I'll show you when we get underway what issues I have. Now, there may be fixes for them, but I haven't quite done that yet. Right, those should be aligning now. We're getting all sorts of master cautions. There's a master caution light. Not sure what that was. Maybe cabin door. IRSs are into align, and oxygen low pressure switches on. Now I think these will already be on. Let's get ourselves a lot of this initial setups on this overhead panel. This was the introduction of having only 2 crew on these sort of wide body aircraft. So the original A300 had 3 crew, which you may remember. There was an add-on for FSX, the SimCheck A300 200, which was really good, but that was a 3 crew sort of airplane, I believe. But here we go. Right, so the oxygen panel is up here. Low pressure supply, this is for the crew if they need it, so it's left on, but you can turn it off, but you're looking for that to be in the green, so that's good. Annunciator lights test, that's down here. And trust me, I spent ages looking for some of these. Audio is good. Good, thanks John, I'm glad it worked. You can reduce slow mode to like 10 seconds, 20 is too much. Yeah, sorry about that. I did have it at 60, and it wasn't supposed to be left at 60. That's the slow mode in the chat box, but that's where it ends up at the moment. But we'll just try it out next time. I'll try and get that right eventually. Problem is you have to change that setting on a different website to the one that I'd use for streaming. But there we go. Excuses. So we've done our annunciator lights. VHF radios we'll sort out as required. And then we can go into the FMC initialize. This is pretty standard. It looks very similar to what we're used to. Just no colour on the screen. We get nice colour displays on the modern Airbus aircraft. You guys can't see the mouse, can you? Yes, you can. Huh. That's strange. I'm just looking back at the replay. There is I've noticed some things with this add-on that cause strange glitches with the mouse. So I do apologise about that. Hopefully it's explanatory. I'll try and go a bit slower or zoom in on the switches a bit better to give you an idea. So EGSS to Echo Papa Golf Delta. And as usual, we're going to insert that in the top right. None, return, align IRIS. It's asking me to. So they are ready to go. So we can align those. That's because I did that instant align in the menu. We're going to go Costinex. Now, for some reason, my Cirrus flight plan came up with Costinex 100. So there we go, 100. Right, cruising flight level is going to be up at 350. That goes there. And flight ID, we are going to be the BCS 233. There we go. Okay, alternate is Echo Papa Bravo Yankee. Nope, never actually upgraded. Yeah, we can't see the clicking. It's zoomed out. Yeah, okay guys, I can see that there's an issue there. Hold on, let me attempt to fix that. Right, why is it doing this? Sometimes you try your best and you don't succeed. Okay, I think I'm making progress here. I see the issue now, guys. It's not quite lined up. I don't know how that's happened. Okay, let's try that. Hopefully that's better for you. And return. There we go. Right, so that's the init page. So we've done our initialization. We'll get rid of that for now. And let me bring back that checklist. And back onto the overhead panel. No smoking signs. Put them to auto. Seatbelt signs can go on. Hydraulic panel, check. Pretty much, we want low pressure on the engines. We don't want to power the electrical panel, the electrical pumps. So low pressure for the engine pumps is correct. And we'll leave the electric pumps off, because otherwise you'll power up the system by accident. A lot of these things are just checking they're in the right place. So these say low pressure because there isn't any at the moment. The flight recorder ground control, that's just like in the new Airbuses. So we turn that on. That means it just records on the ground, so it knows we're on board. And that's all aligning. I mean, the manual actually tells you where to set this. I'm not too worried about what it displays because I'm not going to be looking up here much. Okay. Let's have a look. Right. External lights, strobe lights to auto. If any of you have seen my recent video, this is something I talk about. So we don't want the beacon on yet because we're not starting engines. We don't want any of the taxi lights on because they'll blind all the ground crew. But we will have the nav lights on, and we're going to have the strobe lights to auto just in case we forget them later. Let's see, this is a long old checklist. ATS goes on. I've forgotten what the ATS is, so if anyone in the comments knows, do let me know. pitch trim and yaw damper, this all has to come on. So this is something that we, again, none of this panel exists in the new aircraft. Galley is shed, but I don't think it needs to be, and the instructions, or the manual I was reading, said make sure white lights are out in your flow, so there we go. APU gen is online by default, you see, otherwise you turn it off, so we'll leave that on, and then we can actually get rid of the external power. And this looks all pretty much set up. No lights, generated online. And then we would do the same with the engine fire test, but I'm not going to do that now because it takes a bit of time. And this we can set to essential, and was it emergency and essential? They do tell us, check, fuel panel check. Not sure, I'm using the reduced ones, but again, this is an indicating panel. So I think you'd get away with whatever you need to see on here. It looks like it shows you the AC voltage. So my APU generator, you can see, is running at 400 hertz and should be, what's that, 120 volts? Moving up and down a bit. But the emergency one seems to be running as well. So there you go. Yeah, there are a lot of controls, Chickpoint, absolutely. Oh, ATS is the auto thrust. Thanks, Don. There you go. See, why would you have it so that you could just turn it off like that? I don't know. Although there are some differences with the auto thrust in this plane, which I'm still trying to get my head around. Right, and it seems to be similar to the, oh no, don't do that, not while they're dry. Similar to the 320 flow where you go from bottom to top, so the ignition should be off. We're not going to use that now. Let's check our fuel. I wanted about 18 tons, so 5, 10, 16, 17, 18, yeah, just over 18, which is excellent. Let's get all the fuel pumps on. We do turn these off on the 320. My big bugbear whenever I fly older aircraft, I always whinge about the fact that there's things that you turn off that you always want. Like, why would you want to have these things with a switch to turn them off, or why would you turn them off overnight? So, but the one thing we do in the Airbus is we do turn off the fuel pumps, just like this one. Landing gear indicators are up here for some reason on this one. Down lock on the main landing gear, so that's good. We're not going to fiddle with the voice recorder. And back down to the bottom. This is the cabin pressure system. Again, more complicated, more dials, but actually this is what they've done in the new aircraft, is transferred most of this into the ECAM displays down here. So it's still relatively the same. You've got cabin altitude indicator, that's fine. It's just above 0 where we are. We're about 300 feet elevation. You've got a vertical speed indicator 0 because the cabin should be at 0. We're not going anywhere, and a differential pressure, which is quite important. You don't want that to go too high, or likewise too low. These show us where the valve positions are, open or closed, O and C. So they're both open, which is what you'd expect on the ground. We're on system 1, which is this little green triangle. And you could swap it to system 2 if you wanted, but we'll just use system 1. And we want the rate limit to be normal. Now, this sort of stuff we don't have on the new aircraft. It's very self-managing. VS control is if you need to take over and do it manually like that, where you press man and get control with that little arrow. But we don't want that. We want the automatic systems. Doing Da Vinci, I'm good, thanks. Hope you are doing well. Light, obviously, windshield heater, for example, we want that on. So let's turn it on. Pitot heat, yes, I want the pitos heated. Let's have those on. There's some more tests you can do here. You can test the loops for the cargo systems. Again, they've simulated everything. It's all in there. And then there's loop test up here as well. And you're supposed to check other things like valves up here. There's the other engine, engine 2, fire, handle, ventilation panel. I'll talk about this once we're underway, but this is pretty similar, and it's got overflow valves and so on, which is what we've got. No, that doesn't work quite. Right. Final panel then on the overhead. Emergency exit lights to arm, and annunciator lights. We've already done our test. Standby compass we don't need. Let's put on some air. So we've turned on the APU bleed air. That goes inline. The crossfeed automatically opens, and now that bleed air is feeding into both of the packs with these little green lines. And you'll recognize these diagrams because they're very similar to the ones that we have on ECAM on the modern 320. And there's the pressure gauge flowing into the packs. We'll leave all these set to auto. Not entirely sure what temperature auto produces. We don't have an auto position on the 320, but there we go. Pack temperature, all in normal. We've already done our oxygen panel. Right. Let's start thinking about some of the more normal stuff. So back in our main seat, we'll get some lights on. Loads and loads of lights, which is, as you'd imagine, map lights and all sorts over here. And PFD brightness is up here, which is already full on. We can turn on the FCU. I hope it's called an FCU. This panel in the small aircraft is the flight control unit. So hopefully it's the same. But yeah, it is ludicrous. Like every button works, and the problem with that is when I press the wrong one, I usually make a mess of things and it all goes wrong. So there we go. How are we looking outside in our powered up aeroplane on the APU? Yeah, it is great. They've done a great job on it. It does look really, really smart. So it looks like they're done loading the bags all on their own, which is good. So what else have I missed? Just looking through the flight deck preparation. I think we're pretty much there with that. I am sorry, guys. I would show you the checklist, but it just goes on forever. It's seriously long. Right. I suppose we come down here. So EFIS control. Let's have it set to map constraints, 30 miles range. That'll be more relevant once I've loaded up the FMGC. Standby airspeed indicator check. So we have one here, and I'm assuming this is the standby, but I haven't found another one. In the modern Airbuses, the standby stuff is all located here. So I could be embarrassing myself there. Check our other instruments, our PFD, ND, our IVSI. So no vertical speed on the PFD anymore. We have to look here. IVSI, because it's instantaneous vertical speed indicator, where they simulate the immediate, because there is a lag on a normal vertical speed indicator. Then we do our GWS, check the terrain's working, and we have the button, but I haven't managed to make it shout. Normally on GPWS switches you can press them and it gives you all the sirens and alarms in the simulator, but this one doesn't seem to work like that. Right. Turtle Kayak says, you've got to stop streaming in X-Plane with such high quality planes. You're going to make me buy X-Plane. Yeah, it's really good, this one. It's just, yeah, it's got everything. I'm sure you guys already knew that. It's quite a new release anyway, but they did have a sale on quite recently. Okay, slat flap position indicator. Now this is something I'm not a fan of. Look at this gauge. That is hopeless. It's got slats, flaps. The white bar moves down when they change position, and you got your speed limits. But I think it's a little bit overcomplicated for what it needs to be. Brake pressure gauge, alternate brakes, parking brake is set. Yeah, and auto brake switch is extinguished. Reverse unlock extinguished. Yeah, excellent. Engine instrument lights extinguished. Landing gear warning test. Yeah, there's loads here. We're not going to test all of these things that you'd expect, but the big difference, I suppose, in general, you're probably picking up on, is that there are a load more system tests to do in these older style aircraft. And the 737 is the same, where you're testing overspeed warnings and you're testing landing gear lever horns and so on. Whereas the modern Airbus is very, there we go, we can do all these tests. There you go, you press that. But the modern aircraft, you don't need to test it in the A320 because it automatically checks itself and it knows, you know, so it's, yeah, that's my whinge over. Good. Right, transponder. Well, we're going to get our squawk shortly, but it should be on standby. That's fine, and we'll get the code. Right. ADFs, rudder trim, weather radar, FMS route, performance. I think it's time to set up the FMS, so let's finish that. A little bit simpler than our normal one, slightly less to do here. So let's put in our 18.2 block fuel with our 0 fuel weight. Let me just check our load sheet. So let's show you the EFB they've included. You've got this great feature here, the load sheet. So 0 fuel weight is 118 and CG is 30. So I'm just going to plug that in. Maximum flight level 390 at final. Optimum 33. We're going at 35, so that all seems sensible. 400 kilos taxi. So that's 200 more than the 320. So it is a thirstier aircraft. It's a long-haul aircraft after all. And it's wide body as well, so it should burn a fair bit more. In fact, 400 seems pretty good. We've got 500 kilos route reserve, 10 tons trip fuel, 1.4 alternate. So we're going to have an extra 3 tons, which is great because I don't have a clue what I'm doing with this aeroplane, so I wanted a bit of extra fuel. Corrosive Moon, hello. Hope you're doing well. Again, apologies if I miss anyone in the chat. Pilot Peely, good to see you. Hope you're well. Michael Bullduk, this is X-Plane 11 is the game. Right. Oh my goodness, the chat's moved on a lot. I do apologise. I've missed a lot of people there. Yeah, it is an issue. You can adjust the field of view to see the dials, but yeah, it's slightly difficult at times. yeah, John Knowles, this is a bit of a link between the two, the old style dials and the modern stuff. You'll see in a minute, especially. Right, so that's the init page done, and Cosnex 100 we've done. Right, now this is, I wanted to go ref aircraft status. Now this doesn't seem to work. Whenever I do this, all the screens go completely black, which I think is a glitch, but I don't know what I'm doing wrong because they work there. So if anyone else has this and knows why that happens, if I press another page, I get it back. So I can't ever check the aircraft status page, which is what you would do first of all, of course. So done init, flight plan. Let's go from... Right. Thank you for subscribing to Christian Garcia. Very kind of you. And thank you to Zero YouTube. Right, runway 22. And we're going to take off on the Charlie Lima November 8 Romeo. You'll recognise this very much from what we've done before. And I can see it on this screen even. Why does that appear down there? That's a bit frustrating. Oh well, there we go. Right. Hello to Ron Delago 2. Good to see you. Martin Scott, good to see you as well. Flytry, I'm using the FlyJ sim overlay. Alright. Leonis, hello, good to see you. Don Jones says it is a known bug. Thanks, Don. There we go. So I'm glad it's not just me or something I've been doing. Right, so there we go to Charlie November, Clacton, and then from there we're going to take the airway. Now I haven't done airways. Let's hope I can. Airways. Oh, I can. Oh, that's good. You can't do that in the other one. Papa 44 to Ratlow. Oh, I like that. And then from Ratlow, you're going to take the airway Mike 197. Well, why can't you do this in a 320? This is great. To Redfern. Airways Lima 620. Thanks for the subscription to Nicholas. I hope you're doing well. Right. Lima 620 to Tulip. Maybe now I see why. You got to scroll through the entire airway alphabetically. Or I missed it. Yeah. Okay. I was so impressed at first, and that was only to go 2 points. Lima 60 Tulip Airways Yankee 12, and we're gonna leave at Sierra Papa Yankee. Oh no, that's gonna be a long way down. There it is. And then it's a bit easier. Sierra Papa Yankee to Berim. And then from Berim, it's strange you have to scroll all the way through as well. Berim to Binka. How am I doing for time? I've got about 15 minutes until I told air traffic I'd be going, so I think we'll be just about all right. Cosex. Something you forget about when you're doing your simulators at home, but in the real world, you know, everything you're doing, there's a ticking clock, everything, all the time. Right, Cosex, and then into our destination, Gdansk. We're going to use Cosex 3 Tango, most likely. Oh, no, don't do that. It said very carefully, you must select the runway first. I don't know if it matters, but there we go. And insert. They've moved insert to the bottom left in this one. So we've got the same scroll wheel, which those of you familiar with the Airbus will recognise to let you scroll through. So that's nice. But we don't have the left and right. We have the next page button instead. So that's slightly different. Right, so we've done the flight plan. And now let's go to takeoff approach. To load this one, they've helpfully provided this iPad. Vortex CYBR says, what does this 800 mean? That's the terrain. So that's showing me the altitude of the highest terrain on the display is 800 feet. 008. If it was 018, it would be 1,800 feet, and obviously if it was 108, it would be 10,800 feet. Right. Oh, now I do have trouble using this EFP because once your mouse hovers over it, it sort of becomes the only thing you can control. So let's go to takeoff performance. This is great. You can do an ATIS request, and it will load the ATIS in from the airport. While it does that, I'll just say hello to Pavel. Good to see you here. The Ears99 says, when was the A300 even made? Judging by the cockpit, it looks relatively old yet newer. So The A300 was first flown in 1972, but the 600 is a bit newer than that, and this was from 1988 to 2002. So that's 15 years newer than the original Airbus. So the outside looks a bit old, but it's got quite a decent interior. Okay, right. So light winds, 8 degrees out there, pretty cold. QNH 1035. Something we'll always do in the aircraft is set that as soon as you get the QNH. Otherwise, you're just asking to forget it. And I did try and link them together. So 1035 should be about 300 feet. There it is. So 360. Yeah, 1035 all together. Excellent. And flight director on. There we go. They should match. Should we get FD1 on this side? Right. I think we're going to take off comp 15. So slats at 15, but no flaps at all, which is not something we do on the 320 family. Yeah, no flaps at all. Very strange. Quite a big wing, though, for the size of aircraft, I suppose. Air conditioning can be on. Thrust can be flex. Compute. Yeah, I like this. This is quite a good little system they've got here. So runway 22 for departure. Taking off 136 tons. And we can just check that the maximum takeoff weight limited by performance is 181.7. So we are okay. We have enough distance. We could be much heavier and still take off. So that's good. We're going to do standard thrust reduction and acceleration at 1,000 feet, which is absolutely fine. I'm going to use a V1 of 158. Pretty fast, but we have no flaps out, so no surprise really. VR 161. V2 162. Oh no, but we don't type that in there. For the V2, we select it up here, and it should change on there. 162. 162. Okay, that's looking good. Takeoff trim is 0.9 down. I must remember to set that. I'm just going to make a note. 0.9 down. Jordan. Yeah, it's an interesting aircraft. Yeah. Play Mentic. Yes, we are going to be on VATSIM. Absolutely. Right. Takeoff approach. We don't need the rest of that. The approach rate's obviously not. Mode I'm not going to fiddle with. I'm not entirely sure. Now this is where I do apologise, everyone. This isn't going to be a tutorial because I've struggled to get to grips with this aeroplane in the time I'd hoped I would. So it's actually going to be a little bit of a learning experience for me as well. What I am going to do from my one flight I have done in this thing is I'm going to set the altitude I want for my departure. So something we were all familiar with. Avitab, we're going to do this departure to Clacton. Stop altitude of 6,000 feet, which is good. Oh, I can see certainly there's a 6,000 restriction, but actually it's 4,000, sorry, at 28. So it'd be initially 4,000 to set here. There's a slightly different system to the Toliss, sorry, that's what I keep zooming in. I must get used to it. 4,000 feet there. Heading select 224. That seems pretty sensible for the well, we're pretty much parallel to the runway, so I think I'm going to leave that there. These are the autopilot rocker switches that they rotate up and down. I did say I should set this to -5. I don't know why, but it did say that in the manual, so if anyone knows why, that's what I'm going to do there. Master caution we don't need. Forward door not closed. Okay, let's get that forward door closed. And just to show you our route, we're on stand 5 on the cargo center, as you'd expect. So expecting some sort of route out here, maybe onto hotel, and then Romeo for a full length. So a pretty short taxi. So we'll start both engines. Oh, there you go. Jeremy said you could just hit send data. So I could have made it even easier. Oh yeah, send data. Oh well. Yeah, it's very well integrated. I do like it. Ground ops. Ground services. We don't need external power. Don't need the air stairs, the loader, or the chocks. Let's get the better pushback.
Ground to cockpit. Tow is driving up.
They're connecting. And let me get ready to talk to air traffic control. We have a tower, 1238. Excellent. Right, let's see if I can do the radios. I haven't tried that yet. 238. Transfer. Oh, it's like the 75. Pavel, that's very kind of you. It was 2000 RUB. I don't want to get the wrong currency. I always do, so I do apologise. But that's very kind of you. Thank you very much for your donation. Hi Captain, just wanted to say thanks for all the videos and tutorials that you make for us. No, you're very welcome, Pavel, and thanks for coming along and engaging and being a part of the community for the whole time I've been doing this, and I really appreciate it, and your donation is really appreciated as well. That's incredibly kind of you. Thank you, Pavel, for helping out the channel. That's really kind. Yeah, brilliant, and it's support like that just helps us get some more things on the channel like this, which is great. Right. Okay, they're connected. Let me check to tower 1238, which is tuned and hopefully transmittable. Having a slight issue with my radio. Why can't I transmit or receive?
I'll continue approach.
Okay. There we go. The radio panel is always the hardest part of an aircraft to work out. Right, let's see. Okay, right, we got that there. Sorry guys, I'm just trying to make sure I get all this right. Stand to the tower. Good evening. Eurotrans 233, Airbus A300, stand 5, QNH 1035. Request clearance, Gdansk.
Eurotrans 233, Stansted Tower. Good evening. Cleared Gdansk. It's the Clacton 1 Echo departure, squawk 5444. Eurotrans 233 muted.
Cleared to Gdansk, Clacton 1 Echo, squawk 5444, Eurotrans 233.
Eurotrans 233, correct.
When will I learn on this channel? When will I learn? I'm going to assume that is runway 04. Nope, it's 22. Okay, Clacton 1 Echo. Oh, good. Oh, that's a bit easier then. I was getting worried there. I thought I got it all wrong. Right. Clacton 1 Echo. Get rid of that one. Of course. What was I thinking? It's the RNAV one. And we are definitely RNAV capable, we will say. 4,000 as our stop altitude is still the same. Maximum 210 knots around that first turn. That's fine. I'll be interested to see what weights our speeds end up at, because if I go takeoff performance, does it show me my clean speed is 220? So we're gonna have to actually leave our flaps out because we won't get above the S speed. So I might pre-select it. I would pre-select it in the real aircraft, but we have to have V2 up there. So let's just, oh goodness, let's see what happens. This is where I start to get a bit confused with this aircraft, these different modes. Anyway, there's our clearance. That's our SID. Let's get ourselves a taxi out. Hydronic, thanks very much. I'm glad you're enjoying the videos. Yeah, thanks.
Ryanair 4 Zulu doesn't look like he's coming back this time. He's logged on and off about 3 or 4 times. Runway 22, surface wind variable 1 knot, clear takeoff. Runway 22, clear for takeoff. Ryanair 4 Zulu, thank you.
Eurotrans 233, request push and start, stand 5.
Eurotrans 233, squawk 5444, push and start approved.
Push, start approved, squawk 5444, Eurotrans 233. Well, they definitely telepathically realised that I hadn't done what I was supposed to do. So that's that's really good. 5444. So there we go. But at the same time, you wouldn't normally turn this on until you had clearance for pushing. But there we go. So let's put it to transponder, which is what we would do before we push. We'd also obviously check things like the flight deck door are closed, our windows are closed. Looks like we do have sliding windows even in this beast, which is cool. Get that beacon on. Let's get rid of that and just enjoy the view outside. And obviously we're going to want to turn, our nose is going to turn to the right so we can head out that way. Okay, what else could I have missed? Now, I feel like there should be a lateral mode. It's only in heading... Yeah, okay, let's leave it. Let's leave it. Okay.
Ground to cockpit. Please show me where you want to go.
That's the way we want to go, that way.
So connected and bypass pin inserted.
This is where we check
Parking
the
brake.
APU is definitely working. Yeah, good. Parking brake released. Let's go.
Starting pushback, and you may start engines.
Oh, what I should have done, of course, is use... They actually have the checklist built in here. So we did cockpit prep, signs, fuel, navigation, landing elevation. That's a good one. It's basically at sea level, but that one you can set here with this little dial, even if it's 100 feet. We don't have to do that. The Airbus now does it automatically. Altimeters we've set. Brake anti-skid norm and on. That's left like that, which is good news. Windows, doors, beacon, parking brake on. So the next one is the after start. Let's see if we can get through a whole startup. Thanks for your subscription to Ingo423.
Ryanair 4 Zulu, contact line
Right,
control
sorry about that,
1,
guys. Just checking on a few things.
London 107 decimal 1, Ryanair 4 Zulu. Thank you, bye-bye.
Okay, we are facing the right way. Always worth checking. Let's get those engines started. So, area is cleared to start. Ignition selector, ludicrously on the overhead panel now. Set it to A or B. Let's go for A. Engine 2, start switch press. We're going to start engine 2 to give us that brake pressure, just like we do on the new Airbuses. So, start goes on. Then we'll look down here and we'll get it increasing, bleed pressure and so on. And I'm looking for N2. I need this to reach 20%. At 20%, I can provide fuel. So very similar to our 757s. Yeah, Brian, Brian the truck driver is in a bit of a mood as ever. Ready Meals just landed at Stansted onto Stan 33. There you go. Was that one of the Ryanairs out there? Okay, we're above, what do I want? 20%. No, we're not there yet. It's a pretty slow engine start, I have noticed. 20%. Let's add fuel. On it goes. Usual things now. As soon as you put fuel in, I definitely want to see EGT, exhaust gas temperature. Otherwise, I'd be concerned that the fuel is being poured on but not igniting and therefore sitting around.
Operation complete. Set parking brake.
Right. You would always check outside to see you stop moving first, but there we go. Parking brake on. It's standing by. Now we're looking for this to sort of stabilize before we can do the other one. The open light should extinguish, which it has. So now the engine is just stabilizing on its own, but it does take a fair bit of time. That N1 is going to get all the way up to sort of 20%. Great sound effects though, they've done a good job on the audio. Darian, don't feel ignored. I do apologise if I miss your messages. I've been just trying to keep up with the chat and this airplane. It's surprisingly difficult. There we go, we're reaching our 20%. There goes our tug. Lovely lighting effects. I think X-Plane at night is still brilliant. I really like it. Noisy old engines. There we go, let's start the other engine. That seems to have worked. Engine 1, open. Wait for our N2. Can't hear the sim audio. Okay, no worries. I can adjust that. Let me know if it gets too loud once the engines are up and running, but hopefully that works for you. Right, 20%. Add the fuel. As you'll see, everything works. You have to be so careful clicking around in this flight deck because whatever you press is likely to do something. Hand signal hopefully was seen. Oh, I like the high vis lighting up. That's good. Very good. Good question, Mr. Espresso. Mr. Espresso says, why the no smoking signs if we only have cargo?
Skyway 7153, runway 22 surface wind 310.
Good point. Although I suppose with cargo, they're something you definitely don't want to have any risk of anyone smoking in the back. Maybe it's to remind any crew going to stretch their legs. So slow, amazing. Still sprawling out the N1s. Then we got our little flow. Pretty standard sort of flow actually for the after start. Just make sure this is done and then we'll run that checklist. That valve has gone out, so the starter things have stopped, which is good. WeMasterB says, how long is today's flight? It's a long one today. It's going to be about 1 hour 50 minutes when we actually get underway, and we've spent a bit of time dawdling on the ground here. So yeah, this is not quite long haul. I know some guys do stream the full-on long haul flights, but there we go. Right, that seems pretty stable. Very close to the other one. That light's gone out. So let's run through our after start flow. Ignition off. You can set it to continuous in occasions with heavy rain or lots of standing water, but we don't need it today. AP bleed as required. We don't need that because we're going to use the engine bleeds for takeoff. AP master off. Now before I do that, I'm going to make sure, just because I'm not familiar, that the engine generators are online, which they are, or we'd see a warning light. So keep your fingers crossed now and make sure the whole thing doesn't go dark when I do that. Excellent. AP master has gone off. Anti-ice not required. It's nice and clear out there. Speed brake arm. Now this is taken straight into the new aircraft, just a simple lift up, which is great. Rudder trim reset check 0. The reset button there set it to 0. Slats flaps set for takeoff. We want them at 15. Now let's I wonder what it actually says on it, because obviously they changed this. This was, like I say, very complicated, I think, and they've got a much better system in the modern aircraft where you've got just position 0, 1, 2, 3 full. So that's 15 and 0. Yeah, there we go, which is what our performance called for. Trim set for takeoff. Right, I said I want trim of 0.9 down. And something I have noticed is if you get this wrong, this plane seems to, with 0 trim, if you forget to do this, it does try and take off early. It's about 1 down. There we go, proper old school trim wheel there. Brian's already purchased a plane. Good. Well done. Fly-by-wire. Great question. Great question. Does anyone know? Does this use a fly-by-wire system? It doesn't have the augmentation systems of the modern Airbuses, but if any of the flight controls are electronically connected, I don't know. I don't think so, but I don't know. Right. Let's run that after start checklist. Pitch trim set, rudder trim 0, spoilers armed, slats flaps are 15 and 0, ECAM status checked, anti-ice is off, hand signal received. It's time we get taxiing.
Skyway 7153, welcome to Stansted. You can taxi to stand 214 via Link Lima, Juliet and Zulu.
Well, I might try dimming the, let's dim the dome light a bit. Too dark, is that alright guys? Does that work for you on the stream? Eurotrans 233, request taxi.
Eurotrans 233, is Quebec 1 an available intersection departure for you?
Sorry, we'd like full length if we can tonight, please.
Eurotrans 233, no problem. You can taxi holding point Romeo 1 via Link Alpha, Hotel and Romeo.
Alpha, Hotel, Romeo to Romeo 1, Eurotrans 233. Yeah, so the intersection thing is an interesting way. You can often just do your performance based on one of the intersections and then just say, okay, we know that by going from, we were offered Quebec, but today, because I've not even got any flaps out, and I know I'm pretty heavy even for an A300, I know I haven't got much fuel on. I'm not gonna make it up. We'll do it properly. So we're gonna take Alpha, Hotel, Romeo 1, which will be full length. Okay, I'm going to leave that up just so I have some reference. Nose light to taxi. I'm going to use the turn off lights. I don't know if it would in the real 300. And I think we're pretty much ready to go. I love the audio in this thing. Fantastic. Right. Let's release the parking brake. So we have the INAV departure. So I haven't tuned any nav aids. This aircraft is obviously set up so you can, but we're going to treat it a little bit like a modern Airbus. Okay, we're getting moving. Let's do our brake check, because we still have the same. This gauge has been almost identically reproduced in the modern aircraft. But there we go, brakes are working well. we can do flight controls by pressing flight control down here. So this is very similar to the ECAM control that you've seen before in the modern Airbus. Press flight control, then it appears on this screen, and we can do full left, full right, neutral, full down, full up, neutral. Doesn't work it there. I did move that time. And full left, full right, neutral. Right, so yeah. Again, a great feature they added on the new Airbus is that that screen automatically appears as soon as you move the flight controls past a certain deflection. Just sort of just thinking about things to make it easy for you. So Chen Timothy says that on the A300 you do have brake-by-wire. So if that's true, then brake-by-wire, and I assume it is because I don't know, but if brake-by-wire would be, I assume we've got electronic inputs from the brakes, which is interesting because you don't have electronic brake input on the 320 family. It's standard hydraulic stuff. So hotel there, that's what we said. Hotel, and then we're going to look for Romeo on the left. Should we get... let's get a taxi shot outside. Yeah, I think those runway turn-off lights are a good idea. Can't see why you wouldn't have them. A very distinct sound as well on the A300. If you're ever around one, it does sound like this. It's really noticeable. You'll know it's not a 777 or an A330. It does sound different. That's Quebec. We're not going there. Right, before takeoff checklist, I suppose. Flight controls we've checked, briefings confirmed, so we're doing our Clacton departure, taking off, leaving the flaps out as we come around the turn. But you guys are going to see me make a complete mess of that, I promise. Performance we've checked, takeoff config is checked, transponder is set. Yeah, so let's get that transponder to TAR8, we can do that now. And I'm going to need the auto brake to max in case of a rejected takeoff. And takeoff config check. So there is a takeoff config check button, which is down here. Takeoff test normal, which is good news. Good evening from Austria, Stefan. Hope you're doing well. MH, hello. Hope you're well as well. Thanks for coming along. A300 sounds like the 7.6, says AC455. There you go. So, yeah, I could agree with that. But it's certainly... if you're out and about on an airfield and you hear this thing, you'll know. Now, here's a question I haven't found an answer to yet. Like I say, I should have been a bit better at this. I'm just trying to see if I can find it. Yeah, I want to... there's a little button here I can press to set takeoff thrust. But I also need to change these modes. I feel like the modes should be different, because we wouldn't take off in these modes in the real aircraft. We'd have nav mode armed. Here's Romeo, that's what we're cleared to. I'm going to stop at Romeo and just finalise a couple of things before we actually get going. Got a ground speed 14, a bit fast for a big aircraft, probably around a turn like that. This is just default X-plane, by the way. It's really impressive lighting and setup for the airport. I do like it. My trick of running the centerline through the middle of the displays doesn't work in the 300, so I'm thinking just to the right of the display works. Okay, well, we're not cleared to the Cat 2-3 holding point because they're not using them tonight. So are we in the centre line? Yeah, pretty close, pretty close. Alright, let's set that brake. Right, does anyone know what modes I need?
Go is 7153, thanks for flying.
Because
Okay, we're going to
I'm going to go back to performance. I need to set the Flex 49.
Ready for departure.
Wilco Eurotrans 233. Flex of 49. So, I had a go at this yesterday. Set Flex 49, but this is totally different. In the Airbus 320, we can do it all in the MCDU. It sets a thrust limit at Toga, but I want to use Flex. So if I press Flex, we get a new limit of 1.439, which is an EPR. Fine. So that's good. It says manual thrust, but I'm going to engage that when we get going by pressing the Toga button, which is there. It's hidden. Let's put that dome light on just so we can see. Right, so that's the button there. That's just a trick they've employed in this simulator. I want nav mode to be ready, so I'm going to press nav and have it armed, because I feel like it should be armed. And I'm going to press, if I press profile climb is armed. Does that work? It's a mystery to me. Oski Bosky says, is this aircraft difficult to control? We're about to find out. I don't think it is when it's in the air, but I'm just trying to get my head around the different modes. There's a few questions here. Auto brake max plus spoilers armed. Yeah, we've got that one in. Thanks for the help, guys. I will answer some of these questions when we get underway, but it's going to take me a bit of time to answer a few of them, so do feel free to put them back in when we're underway. Right, I think that's it. I think I'm going to press that button, and then I reckon the auto thrust will arm. There's no auto thrust buttons otherwise, unless I press that now, which I'm not going to do. I think when I press that it will. Otherwise we'll just go full forward on the thrust levers and take off. Hopefully it's going to revert to this EPR, which should be our flex takeoff. Then we'll get it into the air, into profile climb and nav, and that way it should, I believe, climb with SRS up to our acceleration, and then from there go into our normal climb. At which point we need to make sure we don't go over 220 knots for the turn, or 210 knots, sorry, for the turn on this one. Right. There's our takeoff feed, takeoff there's normal. I think there's nothing else for it. We're going to have to just go and see how we do. Eurotrans 233 ready for departure.
Eurotrans 233, runway 22, surface wind variable 1 knot, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, runway 22, Eurotrans 233. Right, here we go then. Brake released. I also, whenever I stream, I run out of space on my desk for all the my HOTAS joystick that I use. Flight 24, good to see you. Thanks for coming along. I'd love to have flown this plane, the beginning of a new era of aviation. Yeah, it really was, wasn't it? Yeah, absolutely. Profile mode is the same as VNAV. Yeah, that's exactly it. That's what I want that to arm. Oh, sorry for Sky. He's watching an OLED screen with a purple bar. Hopefully it's not too bad. I do make it slightly transparent. It could be more transparent, I'm sure. Maybe in future. Right, we're ready to go. We're cleared to go. It does say rolling takeoff preferred, I think. So let's do it. So I'm going to spool the engines up. Oh, too much, too much. No, 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 go right. Let them stabilize. About 50%. Then I'm going to press that. Thrust, SRS heading. And we're looking for 1.439. Bit of forward pressure, probably correct. Okay, we've got SRS, which is normal speed reference system. That's on the new aircraft as well. There's our EPR 1.439, so thrust is set. Takeoff inhibit as well. 80 to 100 knots. Side stick to neutral. I say side stick, it's a yoke. Very fast speeds today. Because we have no flaps out, which blows my mind. V1 and rotate. Up we go. Pitching up to those flight directors. Positive climb. Gear up. And now, unbelievably, let's trim. Oh no. Wow, it's sensitive on the trim. So we're in nav, which is good. That's where I'd want to be. Through 1,000 feet, we should accelerate. So profile thrust, profile climb.
Contact London Control 127.1. Have a good flight. Bye-bye.
1271, Eurotrans 233. Thank you, goodbye. Okay, we'll do that in a second. 1271. Let's just get around this turn.
All stations, Stansted Tower is now closing for further ATC. Contact London Control 127.1. Bye-bye.
So, God, I can see the 4,000 feet on the PFD, and there goes Stansted Tower. I hope they weren't waiting just for us. We were pretty slow there, but that's very kind of them. Okay. So I'm still just going to keep hand flying. You can see I have a trimmer. I'm actually moving the trim. Hard to believe. There's our 4,000 feet. Oh, it does appear. Okay. So it should capture. It's doing the right speed, which is good to see. 210 knots. So it does know about the speed limits. Let's get an autopilot in. Because I'm not really doing much now when I'm just looking at it. So it's going to accelerate, I think, just after this waypoint, at which point I'll need to retract the flaps. So let's see if that happens. Oh, I'm pretty happy we got in the air. We have got the gear up, haven't we? Yes, before I get too smug. Okay, any moment now. Let's zoom in. There we go, 250. S speed. Once we're above S speed, trend arrow up. I'm going to bring those flaps to 0. Or I say flaps, just slats really, isn't it? And up to 250. Brilliant. Let's just check. I'm just checking the checklist if there's anything we need to do in the upstart flow. Yeah, it would be the standard things then. So disarm the spoilers, but let's not actually set any. It's quite hard to do in this. Landing gear off. Off, there we go. That's not something we have to do in the modern Airbuses. Again, that's the thing I don't understand. Why would you need to turn it off? Seems like a silly thing to have to do. Lights are set. Yeah, I think... oh, we don't need the nose lights, do we? So they can go off. And those turn-off lights, I think they're in the nose. Anti-ice as required, we don't need it. Ignition as required, we don't need that either. Packs are both on, APU off. Yeah, APU is off, we didn't use it. Packs, you can see here. Right, let's contact London before I get in trouble. Because a delay like this is probably a bit too long. Okay, so even in reality, you'd be called up by now, I would have thought.
Willow 3 Bravo arrival.
Ah, sounds like London's busy. There's always a good way to get away with it. London, good evening. Eurotrans 233 on a Clacton to Echo.
Eurotrans 233 London, hello, climb flight level 350.
Climb flight level 350, thank you, Eurotrans 233. And apologies, we are at 4,000 feet.
No worries.
Right. Yeah, nice controller. Didn't mind my terrible initial radio call. Oh yeah, something else. You have a norm and a 15-degree bank on the heading thing, which you don't have. I'll talk about that in a minute, actually. Sorry, can you confirm the cleared flight level for Eurotrans 233?
Flight level 350.
Thank you. Climbing flight level 350, Eurotrans 233. But I do have to scroll a long way on this. 350, it's in profile mode, so I'll set standard once we're underway. Here's a question. How are we going to get it to just go...
Sorry, the station calling, say again, Nicole, sorry? Was there 1 Bravo Charlie?
Do I just press? Profile altitude. Is it going to follow these altitudes because it sees 4,000 feet? So I need like an open climb, which is going to be, I assume, level change at 250.
Was there 1 Bravo Charlie?
Thrust speed, out blue for 35,000 in nav. Push for standards, which I like. It shows you very clearly that you're in standard there, standard there, standard there. That's now out blue flight level 350. So this is pretty slick. This screen is very, very Airbusy, very similar to the 320. Quite advanced for the time, definitely. Right, up we go. No problem. Yeah, level change. There we go. So it doesn't quite have the same... well, I suppose you would use open climb in the 320, so level change makes sense. They got rid of that mode after this one. You don't see it in modern Airbus. Just using autopilot 1. Control wheel steering is something different. Let's bring that yoke back just to remind everyone that this does have a yoke. And it's got crazy performance. 4,000 feet per minute, no problem. And we're pretty heavy.
Was there 1 Bravo Charlie, scope 5470, stop descent, flight level 80. 5470, descent, stop descent 80, say Bravo 1 Bravo Charlie.
Wojtek says you can press the button and it will move by 1,000.
Skybase 497, when ready, descent, flight level...
Ah, there we go. It's because I had to press it. I see. That, I was hoping that by pushing it, it would go into a managed climb or something like it would in the 320. So they don't seem to have the whole push-pull thing in this aircraft yet. But we can change the bank angle limiter, so we can have 15 if we want. Oh, we've got a heading bug.
Was there 1 Bravo
Oh no.
Wireless approach runway 25.
We do. Oh, that's a shame. I'm not a fan of that. In aircraft that have a heading bug, which, like this one, you end up having to follow it around. So every time you turn, you have to just align it roughly just to make sure it's ready in case you need it. Maybe I have a feeling that what happens if I push it? Yes. Ah, see, they thought of that. You push it and it aligns. So they did think of that, which is great. And of course, by the time the 320 came out, they got rid of it altogether. You don't have a heading bug unless you're using heading mode, because why would you want one? Right, we're through 10,000 feet. We're going to accelerate now, but we're not. Can I manage the speed? Preset. Not sure what I'm doing there. I can't use manage climb yet because that still thinks we'll be at 60. So we'll just do it ourselves. Wind it up. I think in here, yeah, speed limit exceeded, we know that. We should have en route climb speed. Oh no, it's not telling us that.
Was there one Bravo Charlie, descent to altitude 4,000 feet, the Luton QNH
Not telling us that there. Progress page maybe? Oh dear. Reference page, no, can't see why it'd be there. I'm not sure then what speed it wants to climb at. I can't see it listed. So that's interesting. So I wonder how I'm supposed to do that. But I'm imagining it can't be far off 300 knots. In a beast like this, that should be no problem at all. Matteo, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Matteo was working away. Oh, I'm not sure what Matteo was doing actually, but certainly good to see you, Matteo. Thanks for coming along and moderating. Glad you made it. Just got home from work. Yeah, I thought so, yeah. Hope you're doing well. Hope your work wasn't too stressful. The Ears 99 says, don't think I could ever do long haul. I'd get bored too easily. Yeah. Well, this is going to be comparatively long haul for this channel. Here we go. Look, we're turning. And now I'm going to have to update the heading bug. Ugh. Pointless. But this magical push button is quite a neat idea. Let's wind out that range. See further ahead. Off we go. Tulip over Amsterdam, of course, for the tulips they have there. Redfur is some part of the arrivals for Amsterdam airport itself. Now it's in auto on the thrust, which is pretty good. So it's going to automatically change the thrust limit. So it's setting the thrust limit based on an EPR using climb mode, which is quite good. And you can actually press it yourself as well. So I believe if I press climb, yeah, we'll get climb. I could set MCT and we'll get more thrust out of it. This whole thing here has been replaced in the 320 by, you guessed it, the thrust levers, which we just leave in the detent. So we'll just leave it the same thing. We leave it in climb to tell it that that's the limit of thrust it's allowed to use. So you don't have to worry about this panel or fiddle with it anymore. Yeah, 300 knots seems to be doing all right, doesn't it? 4,000 feet per minute. Up at 20,000 feet. Excellent. No problems. Not sure what this does. I've been wondering. Does anyone... Oh, it is a light. Have I got a light right above me? It's definitely doing a light somewhere. That's for sure. Natalie Stevens, good to see you. I hope you're enjoying the stream and the videos on the channel. Thanks for coming along. Right, let's see then. So that's all working fine. Whatever it's got on the memo. Seatbelt signs are on. Yeah, we don't need those. Let's get those off. It's nice and smooth. Landing lights extended. Ah, yeah. So these landing lights very similar to the 320. They seem to fold out, so they'd probably be rumbling and making noise. So let's retract those. As you've guessed, I basically missed the 10,000 feet checks, but there we go. And then it goes into a little cruise page over here. That's nice. Just like you do on the 320. Wow, it's got lots of temperature areas though. That's pretty good. I'm not sure why you're not too worried about... Actually, I suppose for some cargo you might be pretty worried about temperature control.
Apologies, say again, frequency?
Raymond Noodles, hello. Hope you're well. No, we've basically we're just in the climb. We're not doing very well. BDX Mark 77, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. And thanks for coming along. We're doing well. 262 viewers of you, so that's very, very kind. Thanks for coming along, guys. Matteo Juhi, £10 donation. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. Goes towards the next add-on aircraft. What about rotate MD-80 or towards a scuba diving holiday when all this is over? Matteo, that's very kind of you. Thank you. You've already supported the channel enough, but not that anyone has to, but you've chosen to. It's very kind. So thank you, Matteo. And yeah, it's this is the sort of thing we can do with the. Oh dear, it's not much good at night. But yeah, getting the
Good evening, London Control. Sleepers.
the donations from you guys is very kind, and it certainly helps with being able to invest a bit more into the channel. Oh dear, what's going on here? So yeah, so thanks, Matteo. That's all going a bit haywire. We're doing 6,000 feet per minute. What is going on? That's ridiculous. 6,000 feet per minute. You would start to have issues with the cabin. There we go. The cabin altitude is climbing incredibly fast. If I look up on the overhead panel, yeah, we're doing 1,500 feet per minute. So your ears would really feel that. Everyone's ears will be popping like mad. And the reason is we're at our max differential pressure. We can't let it go any higher, so the cabin has to just start opening up the pressure, so it has to climb. That's yeah, not sure why that did that. It's quite funny sitting here with all these displays around. So Matteo suggests the rotate MD-80. Is that something people would like to see? I hear it's very good, and I know the guys on the Discord are very pleased with it. So yeah, if that's something people would like to see, then maybe for the future, once I've got the hang of this one, which I don't know how long that's going to take. Okay, here we go. Leveling off at 350. Thanks for subscribing, Peter Francis. Yeah, it just feel a bit like a space shuttle there. That was. Maybe we flew into a sudden headwind. We got a. Oh yeah, there we go. Look. Oh, I should have spotted that straight away. 148 knots of wind. So I'm assuming X-plane just sort of dumped all that wind on very quickly. How do I get? If I press profile. Ah, there we go. Profile, it seems to bring managed speed where it puts the dashes. So that's good. So I'm hoping leaving it in profile is acceptable. Profile out. We shall find out. HC is a bit loud. Okay. Yeah, it's quite busy today, isn't it? Let's see if I can turn it down.
A06 Hotel, London Control, hello there, low correction, Willow 3 Bravo, arrival for Gatwick, when ready.
Sorry guys, I'm struggling to find a way to turn it down because it's already set to 0 on here.
Willow 3 Bravo, arrival into Gatwick.
Let's try that, maybe that would be better.
101 Bravo Charlie, surface weather 3
right.
degrees, 5 knots.
Ah, see, now this is an issue I've been having. It tries to fly right on the red bar, which is no good. Let's put it back into outhold. I don't want to fly that close, especially if I'm in a jet stream. There's no point flying in the red bar because you'll often get turbulence or sudden changes, so it's not worth doing. Hi, Kieran Samuel. Good to see you. Push profile, says Jeremy. Yeah, so the profile works, but I don't know why. I don't know why I end up with that crazy. Crazy cruise speed. Is it the Costim X100? I mean, still, I don't know. We have a perf page in the modern aircraft, which is what I would use to figure all this stuff out, but it doesn't seem to exist here. I guess progress. Optimum fuel prediction, distance, descent forecast. No. Oh, you can see what it's auto-tuned. There we go. So there's no RadNav page, but there's the auto-tune. So it's done Clacton. So it's using that for its positioning, I imagine. Question came up about GPS. I think was it Andy who asked, is GPS fitted to these? So I would be able to tell here. It would say GPS primary. If I go ref, GPS position monitor. Yeah, so this has the GPS fitted. But I'm sure not all of them did, because even old A320s didn't have GPS on them, and you would just use the nav. So in terms of being able to fly RNAV or RNP approaches, no, pretty much would be the answer to that.
Swiss 15, contact London.
But this one we can, because as ever, at our fictional airline, we can do whatever we want when it comes to performance. We're trained and we're qualified and we paid for every option on every aircraft. 1228 Eurotrans 233. Goodbye. Now I quite like this system of transferring over, but I suppose it's not quite as obvious as always having in one box valid. But there we go. Thanks for the subscription to AWC. Don Jones says, try pressing the IS Mac button next to the speed window on the MCP. I mean, I want to be in a Mach number, but what? I don't understand why it's commanding an overspeed when I use profile mode, because profile mode should, I'm assuming, would just leave it in managed speed. So yeah, so if that is a bug, that'd be nice to get fixed, but it could be something I've done or programmed incorrectly. That is a ridiculous headwind, which is probably explaining the relatively long flight time. I mean, what does this say? This does give us our progress. Is it in mode? At destination 2020 GMT. You're kidding. Wow, this is going to be a long one. Let's sneak up that speed. Don't want to be here too long. Oh no, that way. No. Well, I'm quite happy to be here for a long time, but I mean, I don't know how long I can convince people to sit and watch me fly in an outdated airliner for how many hours. My goodness. Yeah, that's a ridiculous headwind. I'm going to have to look it up in a minute and see if that's actually what's going on over Europe. Because this would be a miserable flight. I mean, you can see the engines adjusting and the turbulence. I mean, if you see the speed going up and down. Oh dear. No, it's just too close. We're going to overspeed. Typically in the 320 you can do decimal 8. You don't ever really agree to do much faster than that. Mach decimal 8 for the cruise is the maximum you'll give air traffic normally. No displayed navigate. Ah, it's complaining about no displayed navigate. Yeah, that's a good one. Let's have VOR. Nav. No, nav mode seems to work. That shows us the different. So this is showing us the different VORs and so on. That's quite normal. In the 320 we can show the needles pointing to them. I'm not sure where that would be displayed here. I mean, there's loads of buttons down here. Ah, weather radar would have that on at night. Let's have that on. That's pretty standard. Tilt it slightly down and set it to WX. Let's have it turbulent. Look at that auto thrust struggling. This would be really unpleasant. If you're sat in this airplane trying to fly it and you've got to constantly watch the speed, constantly adjust, you're trying to find a smoother flight level, anything like that. I mean, we might try that in a minute. It might be better to go up slightly higher. I think we had a higher maximum. Yeah, Don, I agree. That doesn't seem quite right, but thanks for that. So it's good to know there's a bug there. Ah, Jeremy says the lower cost index tends to work for the red bar. Okay. Okay. I mean, still, it shouldn't be an issue, because in the real aircraft, the maximum cost index still won't command an overspeed. So it does sound like a bug. So now, what's it targeting? Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's a bit better. Let's keep it about there. Decimal 8. Let's try 55. Yeah. Creeping at that speed. And we could try and climb up, because jet streams are typically, this time of year, they tend to be a bit lower. So they usually somewhere from flight level 300 to 350. So by the time you get up to flight level 390, you can get into some smoother air. But that's not always the case. Sometimes the center of the jet stream, so that's where we are now, this 130 knots, is smooth. Whereas if you go up sort of 390 to try and get out of it, there might be less wind, but it could be turbulent because the core of the jet stream tends to be the best place to be for smooth air. When you go to the edges, that's where the turbulence is. 101 knot tailwind going west. There you go. Hung start says so. It is accurate. Good to know. Yeah, Andy H132 says the earlier ones would have had INS fitted. So INS. Oh, no, what am I doing? Get rid of that screen. There we go. The INS would have been down here on the A300 200 and the original versions. So if any of you used the A300 200 by SimCheck back in FSX, that had an INS, a bit like Concorde has and so on, and some of those really old aircraft. So this is really modern by comparison. The INS is where you enter coordinates of waypoints and then load it all the way through. The INS uses gyroscopes and works out where it is by, it knows where it starts, and then as you cruise around, it feels the change in the angle of the platform and any acceleration and deceleration, so it can work out where on the planet it is. It's an amazing system. How they came up with that, I really don't know. Modern systems use, instead of INS, we've got this more fancy I think this is an IRS, but it's essentially the same principle, but it sort of works in tandem with the GPS as well. And modern aircraft use laser gyroscopes now, ring laser gyroscopes, which are really clever. They, instead of having a spinning platform or a spinning disc measuring on a platform, they use light, and they shine light around mirrors, and then as the box turns or accelerates, it senses the difference in time it's taking the light to get, or the laser to get around. I mean, it's ludicrous how anything can work like that, but yeah, it's amazing stuff. So there are some crazy winds, Dougal says as well. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, Concorde doesn't have an MCDU, it's literally a calculator, absolutely. The lightnings we see in FS 2020, yeah, no, there's no bad weather out there, just this constant wind changing. Oh, we'll put the weather radar on. So I think it's the same system where you just press that, press terrain, and when terrain isn't displayed, it should show the weather radar. Doesn't seem to think anything's out there. If I tilt it right down to the ground, we should see ground returns. That's how you can check your radars working in the real aircraft. You always fly with it pretty much showing some sort of ground returns. So a bit of green along the top, and that way you know between you and that green line that it's not showing anything else. But most flight sim add-ons I've used, the weather radar is not really as functional as the real aircraft. Wow, this is really turbulent. But the wind is reducing now, 113 knots. So it's improving. Yeah, it would be nice to get this in Microsoft 2020. It would, absolutely. Hung Start says, will you fly Concorde? Well, that was something I have definitely considered. It's going to take obviously a lot of time to make sure I can do it right. So that is an option for the future, most definitely. Chris L worked on laser gyros. There you go. They're different generations going from basketball to golf ball. Amazing. It's amazing stuff. Yes, Papa, the flight's been absolutely fine. We got into the air relatively successfully, as a bit of a recap. And then we even got it up into the cruise. We're just having a bit of issues with the weather. And you can see that. I don't know if you guys can see the stars outside, but yeah, it's really bouncing around. Let's get rid of the dome lights. Quite a nice flight deck though, very ambient. Bouncing around. We have got a whole load of panels back here, which I haven't seen before. So let's go and have a look what this is. Smoke detector for the aft deck. EGT N1. Is this the APU display? Let me just swing around like that. Yeah, this looks like, yeah, APU. There you go, that's all on the back panel. Air bleed, anti-ice. None of this seems to be clickable though. So they obviously tried to get rid of this third seat, but they didn't quite manage, so they put it behind the FO. So there you go. It wasn't quite successful. DG27, good evening. Thanks for coming along. I hope you have a good evening as well. Yeah, this is quite a long flight. Yeah, Grisel, the performance has improved, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the accuracy of the old ones was you fly across the Atlantic and you could be a couple of miles away from where you were meant to be, but these days that's much less the case. Ramen Noodle says, were you really only at 1,000 subs a couple of months ago? Crazy to see. Yeah, we had a crazy sort of period of growth, which yeah, I'm really grateful for, but that was around, yeah, as you'd expect, around the Microsoft Flight Simulator launch time. So yeah, it's been quite a rapid growth for that period. Ramen Noodle says, you know, coincidence, another YouTuber is doing the A300 flight in a couple of hours. Oh, are they? Oh dear. Yeah. Well, I didn't know that. I just put this one up yesterday. Sort of normal time. Thinking it would actually be, like I say, slightly shorter flight. I thought it was quite a long flight anyway, but yeah, there we go. Concord is seriously hard work, says Andy. If I go a few weeks without flying it, I need a couple of hours to learn. Yeah, I can imagine. Especially with the 3 seats, you know, involved with it. At least this is only designed for 2 pilots. So what did I have written down is little bits of info about this. So yeah, so the A300 itself first came out in 1972. It first flew. It was obviously the first Airbus aircraft. Thanks for the subscription to Blackshift. Thanks for joining the channel. And it wasn't until the A300-600 when they made the flight deck into 2 crew, which is what we've got here. And this was also around the time they made the A310, which is the smaller version of the A300, like a smaller passenger variant, which you do. Air Transat, I think, may still fly those, although with what's going on in the world at the moment, that might be the end. But yeah. They then added, a bit annoying actually, I can't show you in the dark, these little wingtip fences that they became normal. You can just see it when the strobe goes on here. These were added in onto all of the short-haul Airbus aircraft as well after this. So that's become quite normal. Look at that speed. I mean, that's hopeless. If you're getting that far away from your speed, you've definitely got an issue. Let's try 3.7, I think. Because this is getting silly. Wind is sort of dying down. So if I go 3.7, it's worked there. Level change. I'm expecting to see climb thrust engaged. There is a bit of a glitch with these thrust levers. They do sort of move up and about a lot. There we go. We're climbing. Doing pretty well actually. Pretty good performance. And the H1302's Concorde 737-200, trying to make simming as hard as possible. Yeah, you are. Those are the ones to do it. Making the technical drawings with pencils for this aircraft. Yeah, brilliant. Brilliant. Yeah, it's from the a piece of history now, really, isn't it? Rakon says, yeah, X-Plane isn't that bad at night. Yeah, no, I have always liked the X-Plane night lighting. Oh, look at that. Now we're going to get a crazy rate of climb. The wind hasn't reduced at all up here. Oh, dear. Oh, well, it's got worse even. And that can happen as well. You talk to air traffic control, you try and find out which flight levels are a bit clearer. And then, I mean, let's put those seatbelt signs on. I think that definitely happened for all our cargo in the back. I do forget we're flying cargo. I wonder if cargo pilots care as much. Maybe sitting in the turbulence isn't such an issue. But certainly with passengers, you definitely do. You want to get yourself out of it. So you'll ask air traffic control, where are the clear flight levels, if there are any. And some days they'll say there are none. it's turbulent from flight level 250 to 390, and you're just sort of stuck. Pavel says maybe full stop in Hamburg for time economy is enough fuel for Gdansk. Yeah, good question. So new cruise level 3. So arriving with 5 tons. Let's check our sim brief. What I might do is I might cheat and change the weather. Because that, what was this predicted on? Average wind 37 knots. Yeah. Yeah. So we were supposed to arrive. What do we need? We need final reserve of 2.2, alternate of 2.2. So about 5 tons is what I need to land with. And at the moment, we're just scraping that, and it's getting worse. Amazing. I've never seen such a disconnect before. The question is, can I successfully change the wind in X-Plane? We're going to give it a go. Let's just get rid of this layer because that is hopeless. Right. Whoa! Yes. No surprise there. Right, let's not do too much. Okay. So we've got, funny enough, this is showing up some of the emergency systems. We've got thrust lock showing, or thrust L, I'm assuming it's thrust lock, which is the same as we have on the modern aircraft. It's going to take a while to get that energy back into the airplane. Okay, back at 370. Can we get an autopilot in? There we go, that makes our life easier. Can we get the auto thrust in? Mac. Right. Fingers crossed. That starts to improve our situation. Yeah, we are on VATSIM. So luckily we're not being controlled at the moment. But yeah. Yeah, that was not what our sim brief produced for us. So we were really going to struggle to make it on that fuel figure. Matt Olsen says, when you run into weather like turbulence, is there a standard change level, like 2K at a time, or does company or ATC tell you where it's smooth? Yeah, typically 2000, and the reason is we're flying east, so we need to be flying on an odd flight level. So we were at 350, so we'll try 370. If we were flying west, we'd be using even, so 36 or 38. Sometimes if air traffic control are feeling nice or it's very quiet, they'll let you fly on the wrong level. So you might be able to go from 3.5 to 3.6, but that's rare because the airspace is so busy. So that's why we end up doing this. Right, are we in a better situation now? Yeah, there we go. Fuel's coming back. And that time is still 2026, but we're doing all right. We're plodding along. Let's see. Let's put up airports. What are we passing now? Oh my goodness, not even over Germany yet. But there we go. Still turbulent. Didn't change the turbulence levels. Keep it extra realistic. Hello to Dog Ross. I hope you're doing well. This is the A300 600 edition from iniBuilds. Let's get that dome light on. You wouldn't sit in the dark for the whole cruise unless it was really late at night or you were getting ready for the approach. You'd probably have some sort of light on. Maybe you'd have it not at bright, maybe at dim, so you can just see what you're doing. It's a bit unpleasant if you're trying to do paperwork and so on to always be sat in the darkness. It's not ideal. Right, we can do an ATIS request. Let's see what's going on. Oh no, we don't need it for performance, but what's quite handy with this EFB is that we can plug in figures. Plug in the code and get an ATIS for any airport we choose. Right, ATIS. See what's going on. Where we're going. It's a nice day there. Light westerly winds, 8 degrees, connection 1027. Good. Thank you for your subscription, but I won't be able to say the name correctly. I do apologise, but thank you for subscribing. Right, how are we doing for that time? 2026, 5.3. I suppose we probably burnt a lot of that fuel with that terrible wind shown already. I mean, that's the maximum range. Let's go to plan mode. Good old plan mode will give us an idea of what we've got left to do. So we're about, yeah, we're doing all right. We're doing all right. We've got 240 miles to Berim. And then we're going to descend shortly after that. Yeah, that's okay. How many miles have we got left? Let's do, I know what we'll do. Progress. Echo Papa Golf Delta. 472 miles. Yeah, no, this is a serious flight. Looks like the fuel situation is improving. Just about 5.2. I mean, I did take 2 tons extra, so we've overburnt by 2 tons already. Just getting this far. Yeah, amazing. I've never seen SimBrief be so far off, but there we go. Things are improved now. Decent ground speed. Dougal, thanks for coming along and have a good evening. This has been, yeah, quite a long one. The only Millhouse, hello. Tell you what we can do. As you guys have been so patient. There we go. Same situation. No problem. Let's get ourselves underway. It's interesting it says wind shear. In the 320 family, you won't get a wind shear alert like that unless you're lower to the ground. Somewhere around sort of 1,200 feet. So I'm surprised to see it actually. But there we go. It does, yeah, it seems to do that. And that's going to help us out. Magic of Flight Simulator, eh? We get to go straight up to our favourite flight level. And we get to increase our tailwind as we want it. Excellent. Right. You can see, I did talk about it in my lights video, but we have the standard sort of nav lights. They wouldn't actually be visible from behind, although maybe above. But yeah, they're not visible from behind. But you would see the white lights. Most aircraft had them on the tail, but some didn't have room on the tail because the APU exhaust. So they put the lights on the back of the wings, but they have to have 2 because you need to be able to see that from either side, left and right. So yeah, that's how it goes. So you'll sometimes see the nav lights positioned like that. Slightly unusual these days, but it is out there. Parasin, thank you very much for your donation, $4.99. That's very kind of you. Love the YouTube content. Really got out the forces and have plenty of time by simming. Okay. Oh well, yeah. I hope you enjoy the simming, and I'm really glad you're enjoying the videos. Thank you very much for the donation. That's very kind of you. Yeah, it's really appreciated. Thanks, Parasim. I'm glad you're enjoying the videos, and thanks for helping with the channel. Yeah, brilliant. Matt Olsen says, get that RTX 3080 cargo delivered on time. Yeah, exactly. Well, if it was, we'd presumably have about 1 in the back, because I certainly haven't seen any for sale. Right. How are we doing now for time? Yeah. This will be fine. This will be fine. And there we go. That's Parasim's donations come through again on the Streamlabs. Streamlabs seems to have a slight delay on it today, but yeah, thank you again, Parasim, for your donation. Right. Oh dear. I'm about to get in trouble. 1, 2, 3, 2. Okay. Time to talk to air traffic control. Oh dear. This usually gets me into problems. 2392. Oh, that's the active frequency. Oh well.
Delta Foxtrot, farm contact Langen, radar 127, left MSF 25, alright.
Now, will they notice that we're mysteriously going a lot faster than anyone else in the area? Control, good evening. Eurotrans 233, flight level 370 to Berim.
Eurotrans 233, Bremada, good evening, identified.
There we go. They'll be nice to us. We're a Eurotrans aircraft, so. And we're finally getting towards Germany. My goodness. It's taken us a while. Right, what else have we got to see in here? I mean, as I said earlier, they've modelled everything. So you'll see on this overhead panel, every button works. Something that I like is, or something that's interesting, is these valves and these green lines. So they have these switches where the green lines actually swap to across. The bleed air being a classic. If I do, I can't seem to control myself, but this was showing a horizontal line to show that this line was complete and therefore air was flowing through it. And it's a very neat system. I haven't seen it used quite like this before. I'm not sure. You guys may know other aircraft that can do it. But, I haven't seen it used very much before. Something else I like is the layout. So we have our different panels are all labelled electrical power, and it's here. But they improved this on the 320 series when they made it lateral, so you just have one line. This is more similar to a 737, I think, with all these different screens. Like this hydraulic panel, having the reservoir indicators up here, don't really need them there. They can be on the screens. We have our screens, obviously, just like on the, let's bring it up here, on the 320, and we can cycle through them and just see the reservoirs there. Oh yeah, I was going to say, I hope the generators are up and running. They are, which is good. DC. Now these pages, actually, I'm surprised how similar these are. On the 320, that's done horizontally, but still very close. Bleed page, that's almost identical. Pressure, that's quite different, but still. This is the same, yeah, the overboard. So I'm assuming it has the same avionics cooling. Fuel system's more complicated. The A300 600 that we're in, or the 600R, has this extra fuel tank, the R. So I don't know if the R stands for range. I have no idea, so don't quote me on that. But it's got this extra trim tank at the back, so it can hold a bit more fuel than the traditional A300, I think 600. So the question is, why do you have a trim tank in the back? Well, obviously, not only do you get extra fuel, but you'll notice that the aircraft, none of these fuel tanks are full, and yet it's still got fuel in that trim tank. And what does trim tank mean? So trim is adjusting where the CG of the aircraft is. You can see those thrust levers having to really work hard. On the 320, these don't move. They just sit still. But there we go. So you want to try and get the perfect CG for the flights. So if you have an aircraft full of passengers, and they're all sat near the front of the airplane, then obviously you've got a forward CG. So the centre of gravity, the CG, the centre of gravity is a bit too far forward. The weight is distributed near the front of the aircraft. And that's stable. That's generally an okay thing, but there are limits. It can't be too far forward. It can't be too far back. So the perfect CG, which I assume is somewhere around here, look, it even says 30.6, I'm assuming is used to try and get it into the optimum position for the flight. And long-haul aircraft have that luxury. On short-haul, we don't bother. We don't have the fuel tanks to do it. The tanks are all in the wings and the centre, typically. I know some 321s have additional tanks, but I don't believe they're used for trim reasons. They're just used for extra fuel. So 747s and things like that will all have this ability to add fuel to the tail and balance it out. And that way you can get the optimum CG. So why would you want the CG towards the back? Because towards the front it's more stable, but it also is more fuel. It takes more fuel. You have to be flying a bit faster. It does have quite a big impact. So you want it to be moved further back. If it goes too far back, the airplane becomes unstable. and that's very dangerous as well. So it's a balancing act. But if you get it just right, the further aft the CG, it should be more fuel efficient up to a point, and then it becomes unstable. So yeah, you've got to get it right. And there have been occasions where it has not been gotten right, and it's yeah, very serious. It can have major impacts on things. Look at us still rocking and rolling around. Echo Papa Golf out of my country. Excellent. We're going to Poland today. I think it's our first flight to Poland on this channel. Sammy says, can you look outside? We can indeed look outside, of course. But sadly, I thought we'd be able to see a bit more. We can't see a single thing. A bit disappointed. You can just see our contrails and the fact we're shaking around. Didier says lovely videos. Thank you very much, Didier. That's very kind of you. And it's looking at playing Flight Sim again. There you go. Excellent. Absolutely. This is something I love hearing when people get inspired to try out something different. But yeah, it's the flight simulators of the last few years have been excellent, and X-Plane 11 is excellent. The new Microsoft Flight Simulator, not for airliners, but for other things, is excellent as well. It's got some amazing graphics. William, hello. Yanis, where's the chemtrail button? Yes, of course. Well, it does at least have one in this sim. X-Plane does have the trails, unlike the Microsoft, which hopefully they're adding soon. I don't know where that is on the roadmap. What I don't have is a wing view. I do always try and set up the wing view, but I figured as we're in a cargo plane, no one's back there looking at the wing. Can we even head into the back? This seat, by the way, this is a very similar setup to the 320. It has a jump seat that just slides in front of the circuit breakers there. Oh, we can. Yeah, and that's about as exciting as it gets. Oh, okay. Oh, I could have saved a sort of forward wing view. There it is, shaking around. Has it? Got a window up here. Yeah, got cargo pallets. There we go. Oh, they've done a great job on all the detail. Flight Sim X, says Didier. Yeah, Flight Sim X was all I'd use until I tried out X-Plane 11 earlier this year. Wow, all sorts of... It must be really strange feeling flying a cargo aircraft at night with just the two crew. The whole massive thing. I can imagine if you're flying one of these over the Atlantic or even Pacific or anything like that in a cargo plane, it would be quite a strange feeling. I mean, we've all seen Castaway, of course. Bree says, how are the planes in the vanilla X-Plane 11? Yeah, so they're okay. I haven't used them much because I got the Airbus almost immediately because that's what I know. So you'd have to ask some of my other viewers to talk about the 737 and so on that's built into it. We've got a real fuel issue here. Still reducing. What are we down to now? Still got 12.6 on board. Not sure what that prediction is so concerned about. Thank you for the subscription. Oh, I've missed it. It will show up on the other screen in a second. Seth Robinson. I still reckons we got extra fuel, 2.9 extra. But I'm still slightly surprised. 359 miles to go. Why has it dropped down so low? Even though our time's gotten better. Tailwind. I haven't accidentally put the wheels out, have I, or something like that? No, wheels are down. Sorry, wheels are up. William Brasmar, thank you very much for your subscription. I hope you're enjoying the video and the channel as well. Yeah, this is strange. I mean, this is where in the 320 I would have some idea what I'm doing with the fuel flow and the fuel checking. You can have a look at your fuel flows. Do they seem reasonable? Fuel used 2.82. So we've used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5.5 tons. We've used 5.5 tons of fuel, which would be right. We took off with about 18. We're burning about 2 tons an hour. When are we going to land? 2 tons an hour. We're not going to do half this arrival as well, that's sure. Let's say we're going to land at 20, I reckon 2015. So that's in 55 minutes. So each side burns 2 tons an hour, so we're going to burn another 4 tons. I reckon we'll land with 8 tons or something like that. I don't think, I'm not entirely convinced about that, what I'm seeing there. Where was it written? Here, this 4.1 at destination. Unless I'm misreading it. Maybe someone knows what this actually means. Yeah, I'm not convinced about that. I can't see how we could burn that much in the time we've got left flying, judging by our fuel flows. I could talk nonsense, we'll see. But if we end up burning through 12 tons of, oh well, another 8 tons of fuel in that time, I'll be quite impressed. We're over halfway. Could be a glitch, could be not helped by the fact I've fiddled with the winds over and over. Could be the fact I haven't put the winds in here as well, actually. There we go. So what is our cruise wind? Let's put it in. 24584. That would help, wouldn't it? And if I press next page, it might tell me on here as well. Nope. Nope, that's not help that. I don't know. I'm sure I'm missing some detail there. A discontinuity says hung start. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Could be, couldn't it? Oh, that's frustrating. I don't like the screen keeps appearing down there. Let's zoom in again. Go to plan. And now we're going to scroll through. Yeah, but we're not going to do most of that, but that's fine. I mean, in the real aircraft, it shouldn't cause an issue because it should assume you're going to do a direct line between the two. But what we'll do is link them up. No, I know why. I think. Yeah, okay, we've solved it. And that's embarrassing because that's pretty obvious. The two-way point. Okay, if you guys ever end up in this situation, it's probably because of when I changed the wind, we got dragged off the track. The two-way point is Berim in the computer.
Lufthansa 18, request descent.
No, hold on. That's right. Berim's in front of us.
Lufthansa 18, descent level 110. Descent level 110.
Nope, I'm lost then. I do not know why. It's got SPY there, but it seems to know direct Berim. Let's just make it really clear. Insert direct bearing. See if that helps its calculations. Anyway, I'll stop obsessing over this. Let's have to figure out what's going on there. What's going on in the chat? Baconmore is going to follow along in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Enjoy. Let us know what the weather's like in the Microsoft world. Although I've completely changed ours. Look at that. Big old big instrument panel as well. Noticeably big. It often surprises people in airliners. You know, you've got your rudder pedals and the screens are usually just about here, just above the rudder pedals. And then you get quite a good view out. But this one seems to have very high instruments, probably because of all these dials here, whereas we just have 2 screens now. Yeah, check for holes in the wing. Yeah, it would be. This would definitely be if I was in a 320, I'd be looking for the fuel leak. I mean, curiously, we have plenty of fuel on board. We've still got 12 tons. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, about 12 tons. So it's a mystery. And if I do fuel burnt, which I can see is 6 plus 12, that adds up to 18. That's good. That matches. It says APU line is on, but we definitely turned off the APU. He says completely unconvincingly, yeah, master switch is off. Don't know. Good evening to Baffling Neb. Hope you're doing well. Good question. Do we use northeast odd, southwest even in RVSM? Or is all EU airspace RVSM now? It's going to be RVSM airspace above flight level 290, but you're simply going to be odds going east, evens going west, just divided up half and half. So if you're flying, if your average track was northeast, so like 005, then you'd still fly an odd flight level. And if it was slightly west, so your average track was sort of 355, you'd go for even. Yeah. Didier says, I just want to play this sim on ultimate conditions. Yeah. A guy says, maybe it's not factoring in an idle descent. Oh, that's a good point from a guy. Definitely. It could be, maybe because of the way I fiddle with the winds. It's, if we go to plan, and then I go to flight plan, and we scroll all the way through, you see all of this, which we're not going to fly. It could be that it's going to think that there's 100 knot wind for this whole leg here, or something like that. Even so, though, it's not a very long leg. It wants to fly all of this. If I go to constraints, it's going to descend all the way to flight level 50 and fly at level. So that would be quite thirsty. And we're certainly not going to do that. Typically in real life, what you might consider doing is sort of programming in fact, let's do it now. I'm going to do the secondary, where I'm going to copy the active into the secondary. So the secondary is now that full arrival. Great. In the primary, to give myself an idea and give the computer an idea of what we're actually going to do, I'm going to prepare the shortcut. So let's start doing that now, because you guys know me, and you know that what I'm going to do is talk for the whole 2-hour cruise, which I'll complain about being too long, and then not be ready for the arrival anyway. So let's try and actually be ready for it. So we're coming in from Cosex. I was expecting the 3 Tango, although every reason to believe that won't happen. And Cosex down here, which takes us out 907, 906 and in, yeah, which is what we've got. Then we're going to come onto the ILS. So we'll go to the approach plate. ILS runway 29. I'm going to do an ILS, guys, because I don't know, don't want to risk anything else. Do we have any points here? We're not going via. That's interesting. Go off to the 491. But these are based. Oh, there we go to the 902 at 3,000 feet. So there it is. So I reckon we're going to go to 902. So we're going to cut all of that. 909 to 902. And then there's 2 miles before we have to start our descent. So let's do that. Let's make sure we're in the primary. In the modern aircraft, these are different colours, so the secondary flight plan is all displayed in white, which makes it really clear you're working on the secondary. But this one's obviously a green screen. Right, so 909 to Golf Delta 902. Thank you for your subscription to Top News DE. That's Top News in Germany. Right, 909, 902. Has that worked? That has worked. And now we have a more representative idea of our approach, and that way we can calculate our descent a little bit better, because it will show our expected track miles somewhere. Not here though. 292 miles to descent. We haven't got any winds in, but that's fine.
Contact 135.45, speedbird 2247.
I'm not sure. Anyway, so 135.45, Eurotrans 233, goodbye. Let's do it in the right one then. This one, 135.45. Control, good evening. Eurotrans 233, flight level 370, routing to Berim.
Eurotrans 233, master 8 identified. Hello, proceed direct to Binka.
Direct to Binka. Eurotrans 233. There we go.
Speedbird
Direct.
2247.
Binker.
Good evening, Tower. Speedbird 2247 at
Insert.
flight level 300.
Binker. Nav. Right. So you see what I've done. We've got flight plan set up with the short arrival. The secondary is the full arrival. And I can just activate the secondary if we have to fly to one of those other waypoints. Or you can type them in yourself again into the primary. The risk of this is air traffic could send us to one of these points that we've deleted. So we have to be a bit careful.
Contact London 127.1. Bye-bye.
127.1. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Rest says, how do you like the INI 300? It's probably my favourite aircraft for X-planes so far. By far, sorry. Yeah, I like it a lot. I'm still learning it, and it's fascinating. But yeah, it's certainly giving me a challenge. I definitely found the 757 a little bit simpler. Oh, let's get rid of that chart. There you go. You can just see the silhouette of it, I'm afraid. You can see on the visual model, there's those vortex generators in front of the aileron. But I don't think it has ailerons. Am I talking nonsense there? I think it only has interior ailerons. They got rid of the ailerons on the A310 anyway. The outer ailerons. Thanks for your subscription to Brian Griffin 787. Hope you're enjoying the channel. The Gadget Badger, enjoying the stream. I'm glad you are. Thank you. I know this is one of the longer one. Reminds me of the 737-200. Yeah, I would say this is considerably newer and more advanced than even that. The 200 originally would be running with the INS and everything, as we chatted about earlier. Yeah, but yeah, it's good fun to fly these older aircraft, and it's really nice to see developers work on them. X-Plane Gamer Flight says, does the A320 have a GPWS test pattern? Yes, it does.
Inbound Europa flight level 340.
It does, but again, it's not part of the normal flows to test it. A lot of aircraft it is, including this one, but yeah, it's not something we use much. These systems can typically tell you if they're broken themselves. Right, what was I doing? Yes, we were going to set up, weren't we, for our arrival. So we've got a plan of our arrival. When we get onto the ILS, it's very nice. It's a standard 3,000 feet platform altitude, elevation 500 feet. So it's only 2,500 feet above the runway. So I'll expect the radio altimeter to come alive at some point there, assuming this has one, which I'm certain it does. At which point we will descend down, normal 3-degree approach, which is fine. Let's start putting in our minima. Yeah, Turtle Kite was asking about the display. Yeah, let's see if that's... I'm not sure why. Is it because... No, I don't know. It seems to appear sometimes.
Express 1436 with you. Express 1436.
Yeah, Video Man Chris, I agree. It is a cool looking flight deck. So we're going to go straight to the takeoff approach page, which hopefully now is on approach. Landing at 125 tons. Landing config. I'm going to do 30/40. Yeah, this is really complicated, isn't it? Why does it have to be so complicated? They're much better off with what they've got, which is now would be 3 or full. I'm going to assume, you should never assume, obviously, but I reckon it's pretty standard to land 30. Well, actually, I don't know, but this was in 30/40 when I got in the aircraft, so I'm gonna imagine that's what the last people did. So I'm going to do the same. We'll go for a 30/40 landing. So that is going to be full flaps, which is absolutely fine. Which is reassuring, I suppose. V approach 142, which is good. And MDA of... Now, is this a Cat C airplane? I think this would be a Cat C airplane, just judging by that quite low approach speed. 709 is an MDA. I'm not going to press final approach because I did that before and you're actually activating it, so I will avoid pressing that. And there we go. Pretty straightforward, really. I suppose we'd have to add the wind correction ourselves if we wanted it. I don't think it has ground speed mini or any of those nice features that the 320 family has, but there we go. And, of course, let's talk about once we get on the ground.
Hello, Lufthansa 627, my flight identified. Proceed direct Nedic.
No, we need the full airport as well. Briefing. Airport. So, landing on runway 29, westerly winds for sure. Either Echo or Golf. Depends what auto brake we want. Let's try low. And then we'll come in and park on the apron. Oh, we can't swap them around. Okay, fine. Come back round. And let's put ourselves, I suppose, somewhere over here. Near the cargo would make sense, wouldn't it? 4 or 3.
United 15 to Golf. After beat Boo, proceed direct Brussels.
For our star, no terrain issues. 2,700 feet MSA, so that's very reasonable. We won't go below that until we're on the ILS, so we'll stay above 3,000 feet for the procedure until we are coming down on the ILS when we know it's safe to do so. Let's check the QNH, which is on 1027, so it's a high QNH as well, so that's a good thing. I don't really have a lot else to say. My question is, for you guys, because I noticed in the iniBuilds instructions, it suggested, or iniSimulations instructions, suggested that I should put 221, which is the decision height, into here, but you can't do that. So I think we're just going to leave that at -5 because we're just going to do the MDA ourselves. I'm not sure whether that would be actually called out. Because of scrolling down. There we go. I wonder why. Is that because I'm not displaying the active waypoint on the MCDU? Unusual. Well, not unusual. I'm sure it's accurate. It's just I'm not familiar with it. John Nell says, if you were born a generation earlier, which aircraft would you like to fly? Well, 757 was one I would have liked to have flown, but that's gone. So that's a bit of a shame. That's definitely one I liked, and the 340 as well. But those are both relatively modern. I mean, even compared to this. In terms of older than that, it's a good question really that I haven't thought about much. Of the classic stuff. The 727, Boeing 727 does look very nice. That's for sure. So that's definitely one of the options, and of course Concorde. These are all sort of classic airline pilot answers, I imagine. Oh, I see. Yeah, so displays to remind you you're not at the top looking at future waypoints. There you go. You guys know all this stuff. It's great. Yeah, as soon as you're one scroll down. We haven't got many waypoints left really. Binker, Cars X, and then straight in. In fact, we're coming up to our descent point. Oh, it shows the alternate. That's quite good. Doesn't display like that on the 320 family. Oh, MD-11, MD-10 or 11, yeah. Yeah, those are quite famous. They have a bit of a reputation. Darian now says 777. 777, I mean, 777's still around. And I'm sure it's a lovely plane. I don't know a whole lot about it.
Speedbird 2247.
Roger.
Speedbird 2247, just to confirm you're
Trident or 111, says Andy H122. Yeah, Guinness, yeah. Trident being I believe the first aircraft to auto land. So that'd be a real piece of history now, definitely. VC-10, if we're going to go that far back, VC-10 would be the aircraft to be on. But the Trident or 111 would be the European sort of short haul equivalent. Whilst the VC-10s jetted off at whatever airspeed they did, Mach decimal, I don't know, 9.5 or something crazy. Robert737 says, love the plastic buttons on the MCDU compared to the soft ones from nowadays. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. It's quite clean as well, this flight deck. I mean, I've seen brand new airliners that are dirtier than this. No little descent arrow, I notice. So I'm going to have to actually think about it.
Evening, Scandinavian 611, Mark identified, climb flight level 360, proceed direct south.
Got a tailwind for our whole descent as well. Yeah, we're going to be there in no time. We'll be there in the next sort of 20 minutes, I imagine.
Climb flight level 360 and go direct for Salo, Scandinavian 611.
How long have we been streaming for? 2 hours 17. Yeah, okay. You guys have sat with me long enough. I won't change the wind. But yeah, I wonder if it will show us our top of descent anywhere. Progress page. To destination 193. 172. Straight to the airfield. Optimum 330. Maybe it's because we're at the wrong flight level. It doesn't like it. I must remember I am on VATSIM with a controller now, so I can't just do what I want like I have been.
Speedbird 906 November, descent flight level 250.
No.
Speedbird 906
That's
November,
funny, actually.
descending to flight
Do I
level
need to arm
250.
profile? Well, that's, I don't like the look of that because it's the mode is profiled out, so I'm worried that it might start descending at some point. But it doesn't seem to have a descent arrow. However, it does say we're on the VDEV. But let's put it back in the out hold so we don't get ourselves into trouble. Darian says, by the way, what's your opinion of the Airbus A220? I don't know much about it. So the Airbus A220 is obviously the Bombardier C series that was become part of Airbus now. The flight deck looks very nice, and I hear good things. So it looks very modern. I mean, it's one of the most modern airliners out there. So I imagine it's a really nice airplane to operate. Jeremy says it's not showing its opposite because flight plan thinks you're cruising at 5,000.
Confirm 290 is final flight level.
Oh yes, that would explain the fuel situation. I wonder why it's ended up with all this strange thing.
Proceed direct to Goldur.
Yeah, good spot.
Alpaca 91 Bravo, proceed direct.
There we go. And then it wants us to descend straight away down to flight level 70. Yeah, good spot, guys. Again, I'm always looking for... I've got cruise in there, I promise. I thought I'd done everything. How strange. How strange. But that will probably change our fuel prediction. Yeah, suddenly we've got 7 tons. Well, at least we had some sense of our fuel when we were talking about it earlier. We did know that there was a problem, and that would explain it. That also will update our time. 2015, and I reckon we'll be even earlier than that. Ah, there we go. It's all coming together.
Control 127.1, the speedbird 2247.
And we'll have a nice tailwind for the descent. About 160 miles. We've got a bit of time to descend.
Speedbird 87 Alpha Mike, master identified, hello.
Yeah, it seems to have lost everything. Robert Smith says if you go direct to a waypoint, it messes up the flight levels in the FMC. Yeah, I'm surprised by this. So I don't know what the real A300 would do. Certainly the 320 wouldn't have got itself into that mess, I don't think. Mr. Espresso says, why do some keys have the white frames? ENSW. And it's simply north, east, southwest. So if you were having to enter in coordinates and so on, they're just highlighted to make it easy. The funny thing is, I almost never have to use those for that reason. They're typically just typed into, and that's the same reason you probably haven't noticed that, is because you rarely have to do it unless you're going oceanic and you need to type in some coordinates. Right, so when do we want to descend? Well, let's use our progress page. We've got a strong tailwind.
Speedbird 906 November, contact London 127.725.
140 miles. But then we've got 10 miles each way to the RS, so we've got about 160 miles left to run. Yeah, so, and there you go. This is, it even has it there, 160. So we can probably descend it. Let's do it at 150. Nephew is starting from Gdansk to Wrocław in the X-Plane 11767. There you go. Excellent.
Eurotrans 233, Unicom 122 days Malay. Bye-bye.
1228, Eurotrans 233. Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Back to 1228.
Good evening, kayak 78 Golf, flight level 380.
Just in time for us to do whatever we want.
78 Golf, master identified, hello.
Right. Get rid of that. Transfer to Unicom. Make it nice and quiet for us. And I think we should start down. Let's do profile. Would it just head down now? Probably need to change the altitude in the window. Let's down to flight 100 initially. Starting. No, not really, just the turbulence. Right, level change it is. Mac out. And then it says retards. And then it's gone now. But I assume that means it's going to bring the thrust to idle. So random 320 question. the toilet, it's not a button, Matt. It's for the on the overhead panel. It's just a light. Oh, checkpoint. I'm glad I pronounced Wrocław correctly. Yeah, it's one of those ones that's we're not quite used to the combination, but yeah. I have not been in Wrocław Airport. No. Okay, we're getting our level off arrow. Oh no! Don't do that. Oh. The whole thing's crashed now. Oh dear. I'm going to try and leave it alone and just pray that that comes back. I've had a few instances of this going on. I really hope that comes back to life. I didn't want to have to, from this point, do any fiddling with it. Oh, disaster. This is really bad news. I'm just hoping to see something move on your screen. I'm not touching anything. It's totally frozen. I've got the white box in front of me. I don't think this is going well. If this doesn't work, what we'll do is we'll go to Gdansk in the 321 and we'll take off and come back around and do an RNS or something. It was going well. I know what we'll do. We'll load it up into Gdansk and we'll just do a circuit in the A300 and we'll put it in the daylight, so at least we get one RNS out of it. This is a disaster. I'm really sorry, guys. But I've managed to get X-Plane to crash a few times with this aircraft, and I was just hoping I could get through this one. It's really trying. It's really trying. It's funny, I can see on my stream, I can see more than I can see on the actual window. Oh, it said all sorts of things now. Yeah, Tango Delta, this is the Toliss autosave states are incredible. And in fact, I had one set up in case this happened on this stream. So I've got a Toliss flight sitting in Stansted ready to go that I can just load in 2 seconds. But obviously that's not really ideal for top of descent. Ross Phillips, what a time to join. Yeah, exactly. Oh, this is terrible. Please, something come back to life. I think it's had it, guys. I consider waiting for a certain amount of time, but it's no, it's done. I think it's done. I'm not seeing much progress on the stream screen either. Swappy, yeah, I was just closing some of the displays and it crashed the whole sim. And then you get that screen you're looking at, but I can't see what you're looking at. It doesn't show up on my screen, actually, my X-Plane window. Right, okay. Okay, no problem. What I'm going to do, it keeps changing slightly and convincing me that it might do something, but No, it's not. Okay, right. We'll call the end of that. I am sorry, everyone. We'll close that. And let's see if we can get it up and running again. Oh, this has only happened once before. I've had this happen on one stream. I managed to do quite well out of it. Yeah, I've dropped off that sim. Yeah, the whole thing's gone. Okay, no worries. Let's close Steam, sorry. Thanks very much for putting up with it and holding on, guys. Yeah, what we're going to do then is I'm going to put the aircraft on the runway in Gdansk and we'll take off and come back round and fly that ILS like we were going to. And then pretty much we'd have done what we were supposed to do. Yanis, yeah, sorry. It all crashed. Yeah. To those of you just joining now, just as we come to the crescendo of the flight, the approach and landing. GW Productions, I'm glad you enjoy the videos. And yeah, former F104 pilot, amazing. I'm glad you like it. And yeah, I don't know, the F104, amazing aircraft. Those small wings always blows my mind. Okay, we're loading back up, guys. This will come together. Right. Here we go. Put ourselves on the runway, 29, no messing around, in the A300 as it was. Let's put it at daylight so we can actually see the aircraft, shall we? How does that sound to you guys? And let's have the weather. Looks like it's just, well, typically it's managed to remember the weather. Amazing. So QNH1034. And we're going to try out, gives us a chance to try out the flexibility of the aircraft. We're going to try out the panel states feature. So they don't let you load the aircraft in a certain config like you can with the Toliss, but it does have some preloaded panel states and you can save your own. So let's see if that works. Smooth flying. No, sadly we just we had a bit of a crash on the X-Plane program. I think it's coming together. It is still loading. I know your screen's gone black. It is still loading up. Panel state change can be buggy. Yeah, I had noticed that, old man. Yeah, I've had the same issue. So fingers crossed we can get through it this time. Domingo Da Vinci says, have you ever flown an aerobatic plane? Yes, I have. Not many and not for long, but I'd love to do it a bit more. It's great fun. Simon Taylor left. Yeah, we had a few people leave during the cruise and come back to the disaster. Okay, I think it's coming together here. We're almost there. Okay, now we don't have sounds. This is a bug I have noticed, but we are on the ground. Let's get rid of that yoke because that was part of the problem. I accidentally clicked on that button, I think. Should we try panel states? Is that going to work? There I look. Oh, look, we're aligned. Let's put out a stage of flaps. We haven't got any audio. It's coming in. The audio seems to fade in slowly. Now, I have done some videos on circuits, so please bear with me. Yeah, that's correct. Cruising at flight level, well, it'd be much lower. Let's see if it'll even accept 50. Okay, good. Going to depart from runway 29. Doesn't really matter. Let's put that to plan. Doesn't show up actually. Let's insert it. It doesn't really do that. Perfect. Perfect. That'll take us on the left-hand downwind. See, it's all going to be fine, guys. Don't worry. Don't worry. I'm not worrying. Oh, that's what we were doing. Yeah, so we'll just insert that, and then we'll skip out what we want to. There we go. We're going to have to do another takeoff. That's a bit of fun. So bonus set of takeoffs. But the panel state did seem to work there. That was pretty good, wasn't it? So we managed that. Let's get some lights on so we can see what we're doing. Good. They should be on. So the panel states has mostly worked anyway. Right, here we go. Okay. So yeah, another takeoff coming up, guys. It's all bonus today. Get these lights on. Right. Takeoff performance. No. Let's do our loading first. Ground ops. Load manager. How much fuel should we have? Well, let's give ourselves a ridiculous amount. There we go. Load on that fuel. Set 8.9 next, and then we'll bring back some of our cargo, something like 20 tons I think we had. Load next. Good. Just click load just in case it hasn't. I'm not sure why that's there. And then we'll go to here, send it into here. There we go. It's got the runway 29. Do the. Oh, it hasn't done the weights though. It's a bit annoying. Takeoff perf. No. Ground ops. The load manager. Yeah, we've done that. Next. That's still computing. Send. Why isn't that working? Well, let's do ATIS request anyway. See if we can get that to work. Thanks for the subscription to Ninja Breadman. Sorry, this is one of our more messy streams in the end, as it turns out. Positive vibes, it'll work. Yeah, exactly. Panel state swap ES. It's not quite autosave. It's a set. They've got a series of them in here, and you can choose one, or you can save your own or load a previous state. But I don't fully know how to use those, so I'm not going to fiddle with them. A bit confused. I've got my load sheet. Send it to takeoff perf. Runway 29. Has it got the weights? No. Yeah, it has. Okay, compute. There we go. And we learnt. Oh, we don't fit. Airport's too small. Interesting. Okay. Or high performance, this one. No, the RTX 3080s didn't make it, sadly. So limited weight of this flat config, 179.9. So that's fine. We're only 118. Let me just check the max landing weight, actually. I do have that on my... Oh, wow, we lost everything, haven't we? Of course. Max landing weight of this aircraft is 138. So we're taking off at 118. So that's fine. Right. So we've got the numbers. Send data. Send to FMS. There we go. But we need to put RB2 156 up there. $156. Let's turn the lights on in there. There we go. Right, let's do some other things. So actually it's about 500 foot elevation, so that should be there. We got a flex temp of 48. So that should be on here. This is not the right order at all, guys. This is just me trying to set it up as best I can. We'll do flex takeoff again, because that worked quite well last time. We've got our speed Mac in there. And I'm going to arm and nav. I'm going to set the altitude to... let's just do 5,000, bring ourselves back round. In fact, we know 3,000 safe. Let's just do 3,000. No need to extend things. Lights are on, which is great. Engines are running. APU is off. Just trying to see what sort of state it's left the aircraft in, really. We need a bit more flaps. So we've decided we've taken off 15, and a trim 1.2 down. Now, I found just in the time I've used this add-on that is really important to get right. Otherwise, it just tries to take off early. There we go. Oh, goodness me. Matt Olsen, it's also to make sense, yeah. Yeah, they're basically predefined swapper, yeah, exactly. Right. Let's close that. Let's close that screen. Let's keep the yoke out of the way because that's where it all went wrong. Don't want to fiddle with that. Q&H. Let's get that Q&H in. 1027. Not that one. Quite difficult to get the right one. There we go. Come on. There we go. About 300 feet, it reckons. Okay. Let's just check. What does X-Plane think it is? I think it's 1034. Yeah. Okay. So it's actually 1034 in X-Plane land, which will be 500 feet, which is what we expect it to be. Okay. Let's profile again, like we did last time. Profile climb. Okay. Right. We're gonna get another takeoff out of this, guys. Let's see if I manage to remember to set everything up this time. Right, so that was the takeoff config. Right, flight directors. So this is interesting. You have the bird, the flight path vector, and you can flick this up to change it between the two, like a little flick switch like that. So I'm going to have flight directors for takeoff. We've got the speeds in. We've got the 3,000 feet. We've got profile climb and nav blue armed. Got our heading, got an altitude in here. This, for some reason, at -5 was what I was read I had to do. Auto brake is to max. Spoilers should be armed. So it wasn't quite ready, although we'll see. This would obviously be on TARA with a code, which we don't have because we're not on VATSIM anymore. Let me just check that we are disconnected from VATSIM. Yes, we are. Good. Okay. And what else? What else? Come on, guys. You can tell me. What have I missed? Even for a circuit, you always set QNH and not QFE. Yes, John. Yep. QFE is very rare. It's really rare to see it used. CG. It wants a CG. Now, it may have to go without. Because that would normally be on the init B page, which isn't featured because the engines are running. So it's just going to have to go without a CG. Right. I think we're ready to go. Let's just have a look outside. So there you go. First time you can actually get a good view of the model. Done a really good job. Nice reflections as well. One of my favourite features about the A300 is this slat thing. It's so complicated. I'll try and look at that after we arrive. But yeah, it's amazing. Really nice. Big, big aeroplane. TCAS. Yeah, let's put the TCAS on. I think it is. Yeah, TARA. Yeah, good. Okay, guys. Let's give it a go. I don't know what's going to happen here. We shall see. So let's pull up those engines. Get rid of the parking brake. Stabilize. And fingers crossed. Thrust SRS heading. Here we go. Thrust is set. Wow, bouncy runway, 80 to 100, side 60, or yoke to neutral. I love the noise it makes, fantastic. And rotate. Positive climb, gear up. Having to do a little bit of trimming. Very important you set the trim, I imagine, in one of these things for takeoff, right? Otherwise you'll be here having to constantly retrim. Okay, let's get it autopilot in so we can get ourselves ready for our approach. So that worked. Good news. Gear is definitely up. There it is. Yeah, the sound set is really good, I agree. So it's capturing already, which is good. It's going into outhold at 3000. We don't really need to accelerate and go all the way around at crazy speed. Oh, it's a nice sunset even. Let's try and be clever. Go on, let's do it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave it on the SID. Oh no, it is accelerating. Maybe there was a speed constraint. 220 knots. Yeah, there is. So, above the F, above the S. There we go. Flaps are now coming in. And we wouldn't normally do this at this point, obviously. But for the sake of this exercise, let's get that approach page ready. So we're going to do a 30/40. I want to have low auto brake. Now this is another glitch I've noticed. It's not taking the auto brake. I'll try again when the gear's down. Maybe if the gear's off. Ah, there we go. So yeah, maybe not a glitch. Maybe it's my fault. In fact, almost certainly now. And let's bring up our charts. Okay, Papa Golf Delta. So there you go, guys. We're not too far off what we were doing last time anyway. So apologies for that hiccup there. But there we go. What was that minimum going to be? 709. NDA. I'm going to press final approach, which I'm hoping activates some sort of approach phase. Although it's actually just accelerating, I'm not sure why. And what we can do now is, so we've done our takeoff approach page, that's all set. I have got the checklist, so let me check that. They should be disarmed, obviously. We're going to leave our lights on, we're in the circuit, that'll be fine. And the flaps are clean, right. So we've done the ECAM's okay, we've got the weather, we've set the landing elevation, we've got enough fuel, we've done the FMS, done the MDA, auto brake is set, and the approach brief we're done earlier. So next is all pretty standard stuff, fine. And we're going to reduce to each speed as we come through. And then we're going to press land. So the difference is there's no approach mode on here, we've got land mode. So we're going to use land instead of approach, which is fine to fly down the ILS. Gear, spoilers, nose lights, just as we do in a modern Airbus. Sorry guys, I'm just reading through the procedure. I did have a go yesterday, but yeah, okay. Something that is different is I think the auto thrust in this will actually idle the thrust on its own, but we shall see if that happens. Right. Let's take ourselves downwind. I think we're ready. I think the 909. Let's go. Look at that, just like magic. We're in the same place we would have been. Yeah, Jeremy says it won't select auto brake if gear is not in neutral. That's good to know. Thanks for that. Yeah, it's amazing to see. Amazing how many things you have to know about these aircraft when you live and work in them. So many details. We'll leave those landing lights extended. Video man Chris, favourite part of a flight in real life is the main gear leaves the ground and you feel the wind pick the aircraft up. It's a rush. Yeah, it's great. Oh, it's gone very... That must be the sunset lighting outside. Yeah, I like that moment in takeoff as well. You just feel the aircraft come to life. Robin Klein, what do the numbers on the thrust levers mean? I imagine you're talking about these. These are on the 320 family as well. And they're just to show the angle and the range of motion of the thrust levers. I imagine they're used more by engineers trying to calibrate things or organise things than they are by us. I don't ever look at those. Right, let's get a flyby, a daylight flyby, finally. We are rocketing along here. This would be a noisy airplane to have fly over your house at 3,000 feet, that's for sure. There's the airport. Airport's over there, I think. Smooth Flying says, will you ever fly the Flight Factor 757 again? Yes, I will, absolutely. I've done 2 flights in it now on live streams, and I'll definitely do another one. I have to keep doing them because my 2 flights I've done were so far apart, I had to relearn everything for the second one. So I need to do another one soon, but I probably should do a A321 flight soon as well. So both of those are coming up. But I'll definitely fly the 75 again. I do like this era of airliner. Right, passing a beam in the airfield, pretty much. Yeah, good. So I'm not sure. I wonder what was the point of that final app. Does anyone know? I'm assuming it was activating the approach phase equivalent, but still. This is the 2 pilot aircraft, this one. So the 600 was the one that was 2 crew, Eric. So you can see there's some dials here which can be fiddled with. I don't think they work in the sim. I don't know how often they would be used in the real aircraft either. I mustn't click things too much actually, because that's probably asking for trouble. Right, so 3,000 feet's our platform. We're going to go to 902. So let's set it up as we had it before. Golf Delta 902. After 909. There we go. I don't know how the speed is going to be coordinated now. It seems to want to do 250, but I don't want to be doing 250 here. Although it is reasonable. Mr. Espresso, thank you very much. Another coffee. Thank you, Mr. Espresso, for your $4.49 donation. And thank you for all your support with the channel over the time we've been streaming. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Oh, Brad, yeah. Mr. Espresso knows how to do that. No, that's very kind. Thank you. Again, I apologise to everyone for the issue with the simulator. No curve lines on the display, says Ramen Noodles. Yeah, there's not. That could be because the weights weren't loaded in because the engines were already running, so we didn't do an init-B page. So let's put that to outhold and let's start slowing down ourselves because it's too fast. Yeah, so if you don't have the init-B page, you can see down here it doesn't have the CG. It does have a weight though, so I'm curious, but that could be a reason we don't get the curve lines anymore. We do need that coffee. Yeah, it's been, I mean, how long is this stream been going? 2 hours 49, now we're still in the air. I knew it would be a long one. Not much longer to go now, guys, I promise. Let's set that to auto for the thrust. Let it limit itself. Right. And we're going to descend from 3,000 feet from 901. John, that was great recovery. Yeah, I'm glad. If we get this on the ground, I'll be very happy. There we go. So what we're going to do is start to bring out the flaps. So let's put out the first stage of flap. I want to show you my favourite thing. It's this little... You've got the slats here. And look at this complicated mechanic. What a piece of engineering to try and make the entire slat more continuous. That isn't on the 320. But yeah, I think it's brilliant. I wonder how important, and they must think it's very important to have a slat that appears there, but it just seems, yeah, a bit of extra overkill. Okay, let's slow down even more. We're way too fast for the ILS here. It's going to be really bad if we're not careful. Let's go to the next stage of flat. Bring back to 180. Let's do 160. Speed limit speeds for this one sitting at 205 for the next one, so we're below that. So next stage of flat. Okay, around the corner, as we said, then we're going to press land, and I can engage the second autopilot, and we get Cat 3. So you long-term viewers of the channel will recognize a lot of these modes, or anyone who's been flying the 320 family. This is starting to look very similar. That's 160 knots. Oh, and I need to select the ILS, don't I, here? There we go. Oh, we've got to tune the ILS, haven't we? Oh, I've done it. I've done the critical error. It doesn't bother to tune it. 1103 288. How embarrassing. It has gone into lock star and glide slope, so we might get away with that one. To try and help us out, let's put the gear down in the next stage of flap. Let's start bringing that speed back. Someone even told me that in the Discord. They said make sure you tune it. Okay, VAP. 135, yeah, pretty slow. Last stage of flap out. Speed back to 135. About 5 knots above VLS. It looks like a VLS. I'm assuming it behaves in a similar way, but I don't know. It's a slightly different setup. But we're at full flap. Okay, we've got our auto brake in. Yeah, the engine sound is nice. Yeah, old man 42 tune the ILS maybe, exactly. Exactly. Right, 2,200 feet. Distance about 5 miles. Yeah, it seems reasonable. We've got 2 whites to red out the window. Now here's a feature I would like from Microsoft Flight Simulator. I'd like to be able to press spacebar to sit higher in the seat, because as I said, this is a really high flight deck. So landing it's going to be a bit of a, as you can sort of feel it. No, we won't auto land. We'll do a manual landing. There we go, fully configured. I don't know if there's wind flex modelled in this or not. There wasn't, I don't think, on the sim check one years ago. So I don't know if it's just not a feature of the A300. Maybe they're quite rigid wings. Yes, arm spoilers, absolutely. Arm spoilers. Nose wheel lights are on, which is good. And let's put up the checklist. If I can, quick enough. Checklist, there we go. Landing. Landing is down. Auto brake is on, what do we set it to? Low. Anti-skid is checked. Slaps are at full, or the equivalent number, and spoilers are armed. Yeah, thanks for that. There is a memo, but it's not, there's no landing memo as such, so it doesn't quite have that feature yet, it seems. Right, so it should be in trim. The power should be set. Landing inhib, this is a common question I get. So this magenta warning here, it's on the 320 family as well. It's telling us that the aircraft is going to inhibit warnings and cautions that aren't relevant to the landing. That's all that says. I don't know. I don't think it does have Alpha Prot and Alpha Max, because I don't think anyway. But I'll have to try it out in some future videos. Right. So autopilot's off. I'm going to get rid of that. Triple click, so that sound effect is still there, which is great. And I think when I did this yesterday, it's the only flight I've done with it, the thrust idled on its own in the flare. So let's see if the same thing can happen today. Very low seat though, I can barely see the runway. I like the old school radio callouts as well. Bit heavier than a 320, so let's flare. Yeah, they idle on their own. Hold it there. Right, idle that. Thrust reverses. There we go. Reverse unlock. Reverse green, so that's the same. Let the auto brake take the strain. Do a bit of reverse thrust, why not? There we go. Thank goodness, eh? We made it down. The packages, the shell packages did make it in the end, exactly. Reverses to idle. And then let's go to forward idle. And here we are. Finally, thank you very much. 2 hours, 56 minutes later, we have made it to, let's get rid of those auto brakes, to our destination. So thank you guys very much for sticking with it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Very shortly we will do a replay, of course, but we will just run after some after landing flows. I have got the checklist. So let's get off the runway, and I think it's very similar to what you guys will be used to in the 320. Nice lighting effects on this one. They've done a good job with those. Oh, let's not turn off too sharply. I think what we'll do is we'll just take the first stand we feel like. Still there, yeah. Thank you guys for sticking with it. It's great to have so many of you put up with such a long one. But I thought we should give the A300 a proper flight to start with. Try and work out as many things as we can. And I've learned a huge amount from you guys, so thanks very much for coming along and helping me out with it. And then that will help me out in the future videos. Right, off the runway. Let's get rid of some of these lights. Get those landing lights. Let's get around the corner. Strobe lights go to auto. Yeah, we'll just get park over on this first apron. And I reckon we'll just take first left. Yeah, that'll be fine. Right, what else? So lights can come off. Anti-ice we didn't use. That's off. Ignition off. We didn't need that either. APU, time to start that. So master on. Give it a couple of seconds. Start. Let's hope the replay mode works. I know I'm a bit concerned about that now. I'm just using the rudder, but that is an option, John, where you can set the tiller to work as well. But I've got it set just so the rudder can control the nose wheel steering because I don't have separate pedals or a tiller. Oh. Trying to do two things at once. Bring those flaps to 0. Ground spoilers can be disarmed. Oh, I see that they actually go back. So on 320s they don't do that. Didn't seem to let me click on it anymore. I think we'll take this first stand here. Let me just come on. Why won't that work? Nope, not able to click on the speed brakes anymore. So I would try and disarm them, but it's not letting me. Just on the TCAS, it's going to go to standby. Radar off, which I think it was anyway. Yeah. Pitch trim. Oh, yeah, I see. You do trim it to one nose up. Interesting. So that flaps to 0. Brake temperature monitor. Okay. Yeah, not sure why the ground spoilers won't work. Added downforce. Does anyone know the default X-plane spoiler key? I don't think I've changed it. Right, let's get those nose wheel lights off now. Matt Olsen, I'm glad you enjoyed the stream. Yeah, I hope it was entertaining. It was a bit of a mess at times. I think this aircraft's a bit big for this stand, judging by that. Trying to get that the main gear over the centre line. Oh, not bad. We got onto the centre line. I think those wings are slightly too far over the box. Let's get to that stop line. And there we go. Right. Parking brake is set. APU is available. Generator should be online. So, if it's anything like the 320. And there we go. Once again, thank you so much for coming along on this flight. And I hope you enjoyed it. There'll be plenty more streams, tutorials, videos on the channel to come. We've got more group flights to do in Microsoft Flight Simulator, as well as... oh, there you go. The spoilers will go down when they lose hydraulic pressure. So no one will ever know that we didn't manage that. Yeah, we've got more group flights to come, more Microsoft Flight Simulator tutorials and videos, and we've also got, of course, more X-Plane videos and streams to do. Let's now, obviously, have a look at the replay. Let's see if we can get that to work. I really hope so. Oh yeah, not bad. So first view is going to have to be from the runway. And we'll whiz back. Bit of a float, wasn't it? So we'll need to be a bit further along in the touchdown zone. There we go. Right, zoom in. Yeah, great looking model. Oh, bit of a light bounce there. Excellent. Yeah, I don't think it has the ailerons fitted. Bouncy runway, yeah, very. But yeah, thanks very much. Thanks to everyone. Yes, Papa, Swappy, Don, Turtle, Darian. And everyone else, Matteo, Dougal, Liz. I mean, there's so many. I do apologise. I won't get to everyone's name. But thank you all very much. Thanks to those who have been very kind enough to donate to the stream. I haven't got a wing view today, so I think we'll just do a sort of external view for the final approach. Something like that. Yeah, no ailerons, just the inboard ailerons. Right, thank you again, everyone. Look forward to seeing you again soon. You guys keep safe and well, and see you in another video soon. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.